1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
They say everything is bigger in Texas. Is everything dumber in Texas also? What is going on with that city and these stupid trades? Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Massive news yesterday. The blockbuster Pearl that was heard around the NFL. Micah Parsons, well, turns out nobody was bluffing. Shipped out to the Green Bay Packers. He's gone out to a Super Bowl contender, and Jerry Jones left to explain this all away yesterday. Before we get into the facts and figures and all of the money and all of that, was this ultimately the right move by the Dallas Cowboys to set them up for the future?
Well, obviously not, first of all. No. Can I just state to begin this, I was on a podcast on Wednesday, and I said the Dallas Cowboys will never trade Micah Parsons. They couldn't possibly be that dumb.
Yeah, Michael Irvin said the same thing.
Gosh, was I wrong?
Yep.
No.
Don't underestimate Jerry's ability to make dumb moves.
I will go this far, though. I will say trading Micah Parsons alone is not out of the realm of possibility if you want to build a winner. But what they got was they didn't get enough back. So, yes, this was a dumb trade. And you mentioned the city of Dallas. Like, the Mavericks didn't get enough back for Luka Doncic. The Cowboys got even less than the Mavericks got. It's not a good trade, and there's no way this works out.
Well, and also there's no way you're going to get a kick save and a beauty, so to speak, where somehow the Cowboys are going to get the number one overall pick the way that the Dallas Mavericks landed Cooper Flag.
Yeah, they don't have a lottery.
It's not a lottery. It's not like that. So one of the worst teams is going to get, the worst team is going to get the number one pick. But yes, what's up and what's in the water in Dallas with the GMs there? I don't know what they're drinking. Now, a couple of things about this. First, I think the question that we're all wondering here is, why did this happen? And Pearl, I think that there's 3 reasons why this happened. And I think it's up to you, the audience, and we would love to hear from the Dallas fans at 888-710-4ISN. Today's about you. Today's about how you're feeling and what you're thinking about this. But to me, it's 3 things of why this happened. You just have to put them in the order of what was most important to what is least important.
Well, I can't believe you got to 3 because it feels, I would think 1. I want to hear your 3 because I want to hear the 3.
Okay, there's 3 reasons why this happened.
Okay.
Football, ego, and money.
Oh, my God. Football and money are not part of this.
Okay, well then, put egos at the top. I see what you want to do. So you think this was a Jerry Jones, the agent, Micah Parsons, all just either got in their feelings, got into a staring contest, got into something other type of contest, measuring things. You think egos was the number one reason why this happened yesterday, why Micah Parsons was traded away to a conference rival?
Yeah, I think that Adam Schefter said on a podcast last night, and he's been on top of this. He's the one who originally reported that the sides were headed towards irreconcilable differences. He said that in the offseason, Jerry Jones offered Micah Parsons what at the time was the highest non-quarterback contract, $40.5 million. And Micah said yes. And Jerry thought he had a deal.
Right.
And I kind of believe Jerry actually thought he had a deal.
Well, he tried to get one over. I think he thought he had a deal that was great for him.
But no, I don't think well, that's where I disagree. I don't think he was trying to get one over. He made him the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. I think he thought that was a totally appropriate deal. $40.5 million was absolutely fine for Micah Parsons. And he's like, well, I'm making the highest paid non-quarterback. He's into it. Let's do this. So I think he thinks he was betrayed because he had that deal when the agent got involved.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Parsons now blew that out of the water with the Packers offer.
Yeah.
So Packers now sign him for 4 years, $188 million, $136 million guaranteed, $120 fully guaranteed at signing, average annual $47 million. Again, blows away. If you want to, we can make the money a million different ways, but
yeah,
that's kind
I'm
of
not sure blow away seems a little strong. 47, which isn't really 47 to 40 and a half. It's in the same ballpark,
Right,
but we don't know what Jerry offered in guarantees. So.
No, and TJ Watt ended up with 41, and so this in theory would be just a lot more than that. But I think it's. I think weirdly both sides actually got what they wanted here. It's just unfortunate the fans are the ones who have to pick up the pieces and have to deal with all the Jerry nonsense. That Jerry ego, if that's what it was, well, he's proved that he's the gambler, or that he's not going to be bent by an agent, or that he's not going to ever lose the upper hand on players, even though he loses the upper hand on players all the time. He didn't have to pay Micah Parsons, and Micah gets what he wants. In theory, he gets the biggest contract for a non-quarterback. He does go to a contender. I mean, the guy's from like the middle of Pennsylvania. I can't imagine he would have a lot of issues going to Green Bay. It's not like he's from Hawaii or South Florida or something where it's this massive lifestyle change. He knows what it's like to go through a cold, dark winter. He understands that is worth it to play for a contender. So I can't imagine he's too upset about it.
I disagree.
The problem is the fans are the ones holding the bag. You're the ones who, it looks like Jerry was watching his own documentary and decided, I'll just try the Herschel Walker trade again. But this is not the Herschel Walker trade. It's not nearly the amount of compensation. And a big part of the Herschel Walker trade was the fact that Herschel didn't pan out in Minnesota. That wasn't long. He was there for 2 years. Nothing really. If Micah Parsons goes to Green Bay and wins the Super Bowl, this is Manny's Giants trading away Saquon Barkley all over again.
Yeah,
it's not Herschel
they
Walker.
Didn't really trade away Saquon.
Or they let him go.
I disagree on both fronts. Jerry obviously
Manny's
wanted
Cowboys.
Jerry didn't get what he wanted. He wanted to sign Micah Parsons. He made him an offer.
I know, but you listened yesterday, and they were dangling Micah Parsons out there from the spring. This was all part of the master plan because they can't stop the run.
But the master plan was to sign him.
Listen, I agree with you.
It wasn't all part of the master plan.
Well, now if you listen to Jerry's press conference yesterday, he's saying the fact that we can't stop the run and the fact that Micah would have been so expensive is not good team building.
Also, by the way, Micah does not want to be a Packer. He's wanted to be a Cowboy his whole life. According the NFL Network showed Micah Parsons' NFL Life last night.
Yeah.
He, right at Penn State, is like, man, I want to go to the Cowboys. Like, He dreamed of being a Cowboy his entire life. He took full advantage of the star on his helmet more than any player in recent history. The guy is ahead of Bleacher Report gridiron because he's got that star on his helmet. He loved the notoriety of being a Dallas Cowboy. There's no way that he dreamed of being a Green Bay Packer. You're right. It's fine. The cold weather is not going to bother him, but he's losing a lot by not being a Cowboy. I don't think he wanted this either. I don't think either side wanted this.
I don't know. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. You can be a star. Reggie White. You can be a huge star in Green Bay.
I don't think Micah feels that way.
Oh, interesting. Well, we'll hear from him at some point. He'd put out a statement on Instagram, whatever. Why did this happen? Rank it. Football, egos, or money?
Well, why football? Explain that.
This is where Jerry was all. What was that press conference? An hour last night?
46 minutes.
Wow. It was a lot. And weirdly, there's still questions. But
weirdly, what did you expect answers out of Jerry? It'd be weird if there weren't questions. Like, what? That's all gobbledygook. Who cares what Jerry says?
Well, okay, let's listen. Cut 6, Manny. Let's go to this. About why they did this trade from the football reasons are something that actually should be pretty familiar to Cowboy fans. You just didn't think you'd have to give up your best defensive player to do this. They need to stop the run.
Facts are, specifically, we need to stop the run. And we haven't been able to stop the run at key times for several years.
Right. More from Jerry. I'll hear cut 11, please, Manny. No hard feelings towards Parsons, but the team is going to be better moving forward by not signing him.
Things are good here. Things are good here. We have just decided that it was in the best interest of our team to take the consideration that we have. We appreciate his 4 years, but we can take that consideration and we can win in our minds more than had we gone the other route and signed him.
Yeah.
That's not a negative on Micah. That's just unique to our circumstance.
Yeah. This is where you're going to lose fans. Like, he's saying this about stopping the run, and he's right. They haven't been able to stop the run. But why haven't you been able to? Because you've missed on draft picks, because you haven't identified this well enough, right? It just doesn't compute for fans that somehow your team's going to get better when you've traded away your best player. And I don't think a lot of people believe that the haul, air quotes, that they got back is going to make up for it. You know, you get a couple of lottery tickets with late first round picks from the Green Bay Packers. You hope to land somebody who has the talent of a Micah Parsons. You
know, it's so funny that I totally agree with you, like missed draft picks and stuff, but it also seems like an attitude problem with the Cowboys. In the biggest moments, they get soft. So I think, I think you're thinking of that Packers game where the Packers in the playoffs ran all over them.
Yep.
That was a mental breakdown as well as a not talent breakdown. Stopping the run is somewhat mentality. What cracks me up so much about this is they added Kenny Clark, who's really good, interior defensive lineman. I still think they're going to have trouble stopping the run. I don't know why. I still sense in a big game, it's like, yeah, I mean, listen, Parsons did have football flaws because he's so small that you could run at them. But I don't even know if he's going to achieve what he hopes to achieve here. And the pass rush is falling off a cliff.
Why did this happen? Rank these three: football, egos, money. And did the Cowboys make the right decision football-wise in trading away Micah Parsons?
I mean, but what did they really get here? They got 2 late first-round picks and Kenny Clark, who's 30, a descending player, who's, I know, is a system change. He went from 7.5 sacks 2 years ago to 1 sack last year. Different position, new defensive coordinator, but still, like, these picks are not valuable. That's the bottom line. Green Bay is picking between, at worst, 26 and 32. Who cares about these picks? They're not going to be able to package them with the 10 pick and move up to number 1 for a quarterback. They're not going to get a superstar here. This, first of all, it rarely works out to trade your superstar, but Micah Parsons is a young superstar. If the guy was 30, I would get it. I don't get anything about this. What the Cowboys got back is not significant in the big picture. Kenny Clark, how long is he even going to be there? And listen, I understand that Parsons and Jerry reached an impasse, but that was not, as you said, the master plan. Like, the master plan was he's a young star. We sign him. I know they already invested a lot in CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, but other teams have gone with 3 big guys and had a lot of success. The Eagles, the defending champions, have 3 big contracts. A lot of teams do. The Chiefs have had 3 big contracts. So you can do this. You can make it work. The Rams. So you could definitely make this work, and they're not doing it.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So many parts of this to unpack. Did the Cowboys make the right decision? I'm curious here from the Cowboy fans because there's a lot of different layers to this. There is a football argument, I guess. You could make it, again, getting rid of your best players to say we're going to make our team better just feels like that falls short. Was it the egos? Yeah. Is this all ego? In which case, if you're a Cowboy fan, you are disgusted. Or is it just the money? Did Jerry not want to pay Micah Parsons?
Well,
did it come down to that? Well, but maybe not as much as the Packers did. And by the way, and we'll get into this a little later, unless the Cowboy fans want to get into it right now. The fact that it's the Packers.
That I disagree with you on.
Oh, that
who cares?
hurts.
Well, there's no Cowboys-Packers rivalry. If you watch the documentary, they literally said the line. It's like, well, we're disappointed we don't get to play the Niners, and it's a team that we don't care about in the 1993 NFC title or 95 NFC title game. But I mean, like, if you say, are you saying every NFC team is a rival with the Cowboys? Because, like, what's the? Yeah, I know about the Ice Bowl, but this is not like the Packers.
No. I'm talking about way more recently that the Packers have ended the Cowboys' playoff run in
Twice.
3 different seasons. I thought in the last 15 years.
Yeah, I don't think there's the rivalry. I mean, listen, the Cowboys fans and the Eagles fans and the Giants fans and the Commanders fans, that's rivalry.
Okay, well, that's a division thing. But
and then the Niners are special to them. I don't think that, like, there's such a. I mean, listen, the Bears have their rival. I'm sorry, the Packers have their rival, the Bears. The Cowboys have their rivals. That is, to me, not the issue. Maybe send them out of conference might have been good. But, like, really, the Packers? Who cares about that?
I think you're wrong about that.
Yeah.
I think this cuts even deeper that it is the Packers, because not only have they ended your season in the playoffs, and they were the architects of what Jerry Jones himself said was the most painful playoff loss in his tenure as owning the Cowboys, which is saying something. So now he's going to gift them your best player is a strange move, in my opinion. But the other part is the Packers don't do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
That part of it to me would also make me nervous, more upset, more ticked off if I'm a Cowboy fan. It's not some, you didn't trade him away to some unserious franchise. You didn't trade him away to the Raiders or something where he can just go and languish, or, some organization that's always chasing the shiny object. This is one of the most prudent, thoughtful organizations that we have historically in the NFL, and they're the ones who decided to pony up all this money. Like, that's got to eat you up if you're a Cowboy fan.
Right. I mean, they're the opposite of the Cowboys. Not only do they not have a attention-seeking owner, they don't have an owner. So you're right. Prudent's a good way to describe them. That's why everyone keeps on bringing up one name in Green Bay, Reggie White. Feels like Reggie White signed as a free agent in Green Bay, led them to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
I don't know if you've seen Packers Twitter. They are all about comparing this to Reggie White. In that sense, it's the right team. I just disagree with you. Like, they're not, in my mind, they're not a Cowboys rival. Like, there are some fan bases that hate the Cowboys.
Let's get to you early and often. Today is about you. Cowboy fans, you got to vent this. And I'm curious if you think, was this football? Was this ego? Was this money? Why is Micah Parsons not a Dallas Cowboy today? JK is in Fort Worth. Good morning, JK.
Good morning. Yeah, I was calling because it's a big disconnect. The local fans, we really was ready for Micah to go. He's small, and he can't stand up against the run. They did a poll on the radio like Monday, and we have some of the best radio hosts in the nation down here.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the poll was ready for him to be traded. Now, could we have got more back? Yeah, maybe. But I'm confused because everybody compares him to like Khalil Mack or something. He doesn't impact winning like that. He disappears at the end of the regular season, and we played Green Bay in the playoffs, and Green Bay ran it down our throat. Now, y'all keep saying it's going to be a late-round draft pick, but Detroit wants to run the ball. Chicago wants to run the ball, and he does. And Micah, you can't even really pass rush that much or that well on wet grass. He doesn't play great in the cold, so like nobody down here is stressing about Micah.
Wow, so you think the Packers are now going to implode? You know, the Packers, like, people are already high on the Packers before they even landed Micah Parsons, that they're one of the youngest teams in the league. They're one of the up-and-coming, it's like sleeper Super Bowl picks.
Yeah, everybody always says that till the season starts. We've been saying something about Jordan Love for the last few years, and he always finds himself hurt. Then with Micah, not just Micah, but every player in the NFL seems like now when they miss preseason, what's the first thing that happen? They get a soft tissue injury.
Oh, yeah. So that's happening. I'll agree with that.
Okay, but JK, here's the other part. I mean, you guys want to say you were done with Micah. Like, so you trust Jerry? Like, that's the yin and the yang of this thing. If you say that you don't want Micah Parsons, that means that you trust the vision of Jerry Jones. Just say it.
No, you're wrong about that. I was just about to say something about that before you said something a minute ago. Y'all were talking about our rivals. No, our only rival is Jerry Jones. He is the problem. But this is the only thing he got right. I mean, two wrongs don't make a right, but we shouldn't have signed Dak. We shouldn't have signed C.D. Lamb. And now you saying an undersized linebacker wants to be the highest paid player, non-quarterback in NFL history. That's crazy. And y'all are right. You can win with 3 big contracts, but we already shown you can't win with those 3 big contracts. Well, we would already won something.
JK, thank you for the call. Well, we want to get to some more people, but thank you for that. I didn't realize that the backlash to Micah Parsons was so deep in Dallas, in Texas, in that area, because, first of all, even if you don't love Micah Parsons, if he wasn't your cup of tea, you cannot be happy with how this went down.
You mean this is not the ideal process?
A week before the season when if you listen to Jerry's press conference yesterday, they were thinking and dangling Micah Parsons out there since the spring. He made it seem like yesterday, Pearl, that he actually never had any intention of signing Micah Parsons, even though allegedly they had some handshake deal. Now he's talking about, well, no. We were the media, you rubes, you did our bidding for us because we were dangling Parsons out there the whole time, and you guys kept writing about it and, and drummed up this big market for him. What are you talking about? This was not the definition of shopping your star. And to be honest, I think they shopped the wrong guy. If I were them, I would have shopped CeeDee Lamb.
I don't know about that, but if you took CeeDee Lamb out of that offense, you might as well cancel the season. But you got to stop listening to Jerry. First of all, it's turning your brain into gobbledygook.
Well,
you're trying to rationalize a madman. But besides, I disagree with a couple points. Khalil Mack and Micah Parsons statistically profiled the exact same way. So I don't think that you can't say that Khalil Mack was better than Micah Parsons. They're the only two guys in the first 4 years have over 12 sacks every year. And what was the other thing he said about Micah? Yeah, I'm not sure that football-wise this is not going to have an impact on Dallas. I just disagree with that. I feel like when Micah's on the field, their defense is much better. We saw it last year.
Also, Bears and Raiders, where Khalil Mack was playing, not the Green Bay Packers. Not with a franchise quarterback, not with a young up-and-coming team. Not the same to me.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears did win with Khalil Mack, but kind of like the Cowboys won with Micah Parsons. Khalil didn't win at a higher rate than Micah Parsons. I think they were 12-4. They didn't have the 17th game. That's exactly what Micah Parsons has been when he's on the field.
I know, but Mack had one good year, basically. Yeah. Like, I imagine what Parsons, who's been a Pro Bowler every year he's been in the league, is going to keep being a Pro Bowler. Here is what that cut I'm talking about. Jerry Jones admitting he lied about not wanting to trade Micah Parsons.
You really think if I wanted someone to be interested in him that I would say, I'm going to trade him? It's the opposite. It's the opposite, of course. And I thank you for writing it.
Yeah, Jared, got him again.
Was that somebody on the tape laughing? Or was that us laughing?
Steven and the media.
Steven and the media.
Wow.
Oh, my God. That's so funny for some reason. It's like... It
Foiled
reminds
them
me,
again.
There's an episode of The Simpsons where Montgomery Burns, the billionaire owner of the nuclear power plant, is managing the baseball team, and he pulls Darryl Strawberry after he hits 8 home runs in a game because he doesn't want the lefty-righty matchup on him. He's like, I'm smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
You really think? Yeah.
You really think if I wanted to trade him, I would have said that? It's like, wow, Jer, got him again. You're the mastermind here, pal. Poor Steven. He's laughing and he's saying the right things. You did not need to be a body language expert to read that it looked like he had like sand in his
that's
underpants.
interesting.
He looked like he was going to vomit the moment Jerry brought up Herschel Walker trade. Because Steven's the one who's going to be more likely actually having to pick up the pieces of this thing.
That hand was on the chin for a long time.
Oh, my gosh. And the higher
Steven's,
up it goes on your face is like, it's like when you're rubbing your chin, okay, scratching your face, your cheek, and then you're on your forehead.
Did he go full Jim Boeheim by the end of the interview?
Boeheim always looks like he's got, gangrene. I don't know why. Anyway, okay, you guys are on the phones. Today's about you, and more you. Will Jerry end up looking like he did the right thing?
I want to hear more of this local reaction from Dallas, too. I did not know they turned on Parsons.
Okay.
Incredible.
I'm okay with the Parsons trade.
Yeah.
This is some of that. Parsons is a prima donna.
Yeah, wow.
Both sides to blame. Someone thinks we're contradicting ourselves. All right, let's get to it. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We'll have more fun Jerry quotes for you throughout the morning, and maybe what the locker room reaction is to the Cowboys trading away star pass rusher Micah Parsons. Let's go. 888-710-4ISN. Good morning.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I'm so happy. It is fall. We had to stay up late watching college football. We're deliriously tired. We got the Micah Parsons trade. It's all happening.
He speaks French now.
It ruins our life, but it is the best time of year. I don't care. The calendar says August. It's on, Maggie.
Yeah, you can't say to people, hey, good morning, what a great day. People in Dallas, their football lives are just like seeping out of every pore. They have a gunslinger owner / GM, an octogenarian who's trying to replicate and recreate something that happened 30 years ago with the Herschel Walker trade when nothing is the same in the NFL like it was 30 years ago. And, of course, this Micah Parsons trade, blockbuster, happens yesterday afternoon. He gets traded to the Green Bay Packers of all teams, 2 first-round picks, and defensive tackle Kenny Clark.
Hot take. 30 years too late. I always thought Herschel Walker was overrated in the NFL. He was so big and strong, and you touched that guy and he went down. Like, he never broke any tackles. He was an Eagle. Yeah, I didn't understand that trade at the time. I called into, no, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, never liked Herschel Walker as a pro. Go ahead, please.
All right, Johnny is in Atlanta. Johnny, is Jerry, did he make the right decision by trading away Micah Parsons?
I think he made the right decision because he's going to have too much money wrapped up. Y'all don't forget, he paying Diggs, he paying CeeDee Lamb, he paying Dak, and now he got to pay Micah Parsons. So he knew he was going to pay off for them. So he had to let Micah Parsons go.
Okay.
But the thing is, he got rid of him for nothing. If he's want to start the run, Vita Vea is sitting in Tampa Bay. I know they'll want Micah Parsons for Vita Vea. So
Vita Vea is awesome.
But the thing is, he traded him to a contender. You should have traded him somewhere like the Saints, somewhere he don't have no shot to win. Because he didn't want to be there, so, hey, why would you give him the opportunity to see him win the Super Bowl? That's my thing.
Yeah, Johnny, and it's funny because the way they're talking about Kenny Clark, who's the defensive tackle who they got back in the trade, I mean, this guy better be Aaron Donald and, everyone combined into one with how they're talking about it. Meanwhile, the guy's coming off a foot surgery, which nobody's talking about. He played through a foot injury all last year, and I know our pal Dr. Rock Positano, who we've had on the show many times, says never cut your feet. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully he's better off for it. Here's the thing about not spending the money on Micah, but knowing the whole time that you were, coming towards this moment where, he deserves a new contract. You could have game planned for this starting years ago.
Don't do that, Maggie.
What? Apply logic?
I talk about the past mistakes. Because by the way, to be fair, like you've been saying they should start paying these guys earlier. You've been saying that for 3 years, and you're absolutely right.
William is in Arlington. William, what's the feeling on the ground? Is everyone relieved that Parsons is gone? Or are you mad at Jerry Jones?
Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not necessarily a Cowboys fan, but I've watched every home game that Micah Parsons has played in, to include preseason and the regular season. From a dollars and cents perspective, in my opinion, he made the right decision. But from a football perspective, he didn't, simply because he didn't get anything of comparable value back. You said, who's to blame? They're both to blame. If they had wanted to get a deal done, Micah Parsons wanted to get a deal done, they would have got it. It's like when you shop for a car. If I got my eye on a certain car and I have the financial resources to get it, and I'm at the dealership and I really want that car, we're going to come to a fair medium where the dealership's going to make their money and I'm going to be satisfied. You guys act like, and this is just my opinion, that Micah Parsons is some elite defensive guy. Like, he's not Aaron Donald, he's not T.J. Watt, he's not Myles Garrett. Offensive coordinators scheme to try to minimize the impact of elite defensive players. Guys like Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Mean Joe Green, Warren Sapp in his prime, Derek Brooks, Michael Strahan, anybody you want name, they scheme. But you know what? They were still able to make an impact on the game when it counts. Micah Parsons wilts like a flower in the sun in the biggest of games. Look at his stats in the playoffs. If I'm going to pay a guy that kind of money and make him the highest paid defensive, I need some productivity and results when it counts. It's like Jalen Hurts to me. He's a polar opposite of Jalen Hurts. all Jalen Hurts does enough to win you championships. He doesn't put up gaudy stats and all this kind of stuff. People like what I call the glitter and the gold. Micah Parsons is all glitter and no gold. When the lights are the brightest, he wilts like a flower.
Well, but period. William, wouldn't you have to apply that to a lot more guys on the roster than just Micah Parsons for how they flop in the postseason? You don't want to give Dak Prescott any of that smoke? You don't think CeeDee Lamb deserves some of that? You don't think Mike McCarthy deserves some of that? Can I just also put some numbers on this? So this is from Bill Barnwell, and he's going to use a stat called EPA, which is like the expected success rate on a play. Over the past 4 years, the Cowboys were the league's best defense with Parsons on the field by EPA per play. Across over 1,000 snaps, those same Cowboys immediately became the league's worst defense by the same metric when Parsons was on the sidelines or inactive. The best defense in the league with Micah Parsons, the worst defense in the league without him. Maybe he's getting a little too much of the blame for why the Cowboys have come up small in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with both sides. Micah Parsons, you saw it last year. Like, they were out of the season. Micah Parsons came back, and I don't know if he was playing for his contract. I was like, whoa, Micah, the Cowboys stink. Why are you flying around the field in the second half of a game you're losing? That dude's relentless. Like, he's a good football player. I feel like he's taking too much heat. Attitude, I don't know about his attitude. Like, it seems like a lot of our callers are talking about his locker room presence. But I'll tell you right now, just eyeballing him, to say he's not an effective football player is going too far.
888-710-4ISN. See you guys. Keep it coming because we are all about you today and what you think of this trade. Did the Cowboys make the right decision in trading Micah Parsons? And to that end, about the locker room, Pearl, we do have some sound from Jane Slater, who covers the Cowboys, that we will get to in a moment. Meanwhile, Andrew Bogusch is with us, as he is every morning, giving us the latest and greatest. Had a lot of college football last night, a lot of other fun stuff.
And all sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
They just love each other.
They couldn't let sweet Maggie watch Nebraska and Cincinnati in peace. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift had to be at Arrowhead last night, pretending to be in love and engaged just so Trav could watch his Bearcats in person. But America's favorite couple can't win everything.
Sorsby leans in, takes the snap, backpedals the throw. Blitz picked up. Harris went out deep right sideline. 50-50 ball. It's picked off. The black shirts with the dagger. Malcolm Hartzog with a giant pick.
I was going to be honest. I saw her in the press box, and I know the game was at Arrowhead.
Josh Allen's here.
Yeah, and I was thinking, man, life comes at you fast because at one moment you're at the Super Bowl in Las Vegas and your boyfriend's hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, and the next it's a Thursday night in August and you're watching Nebraska Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's married life.
Whoa, like maybe this chick does love him. I don't know. This one convinced me last night. Like, what is she doing there?
Well, I got to be honest. I got to call myself out. I was watching the game, and I'm like, why would Travis bring her to this game? Did Mahomes, because he's good friends with Raiola, convince Travis to come with him? I totally forgot he went to Cincinnati throughout the whole entire game.
Wow. Jason was there, too.
By the way, all the Chiefs were there. Like, it was kind of a team bonding activity.
Yeah.
And everybody was hanging out with Andy. Andy Reid got to meet all the players. So the Chiefs seemed like they sponsored the game or some weird thing going on. I don't know what was going on.
Well, it is their home stadium, but I have a feeling that when they find out that Taylor's coming, then all of a sudden all the other wives and girlfriends are like, we're going to the game. And then all of a sudden you look around and the suite is filled with every Chiefs player, including practice squad. With significant other and children in tow, probably, to get photos.
Oh, well, I didn't see a lot of wives. Maybe you're right. But
Brittany was there because they were watching their Bizarro son play as well.
Yeah, that is getting weird, by the way.
Getting weird? It's been weird for a minute.
They had there was a graphic last night during the game of all the way that Dylan Raiola arranges his pads like to the T, exactly like Mahomes.
He does that thing where he calls in the play with his hands.
But it's not his fault that he looks like him. Give me a break.
No, it's funny because my husband kind of comes in as a casual in these moments, and he goes, "Oh, Mahomes' brother." I was like, "No, Mahomes' brother is probably in a jail cell somewhere. This is some totally other dude."
I was trying to explain to Andrea the situation with Dylan Raiola, and honestly, she was like, "I kind of like this gimmick." She's like, "It's interesting. Like, we don't have guys doing this." He's like, "It's fun." She was
to
not
be
offended
a carbon
by it.
copy.
Yeah, she was like, "He's a kid. He's looking up to his idol. Whatever."
He's like 20 years old now. He ain't a kid. He's not 16. He's acting like a 16-year-old.
But again, the imitation thing is fine, and why not try to be Mahomes? But then you can't tell us that it's just an accident. You can't help it when you get your hair cut like
it. They said on the broadcast. They said on the broadcast that Raiola had it first.
That's what they claimed. Yeah, that's impossible though.
I don't know.
When he was in 8th grade?
Yeah, he was like 11.
So remember when I go to those quarterback camps?
Yeah.
I saw Raiola at 15. He absolutely had that haircut.
But Mahomes has been playing. Yeah. He had that haircut as a rookie in the NFL.
So 2017?
Yeah.
Did he really though?
Yeah.
But then he kind of emphasized it got shorter on the sides and bigger on the top.
Well, Mahomes cut it, so your move, Raiola. Anyway, they won.
Barely.
Yeah, barely.
They won 2017, Nebraska did, and he threw for 243 and a pair of touchdowns, while USF QB Byron Brown ran for 2 scores to lead the Bulls to a 34-7 upset of number 25 Boise State in Tampa.
That is a big dude, that quarterback.
Yeah, it's South Florida, a big win. South Florida's first over a ranked opponent since 2016. Micah Parsons' new QB, Jordan Love, says he has no concerns about playing week 1 with that surgically repaired left thumb. Love resumed taking snaps on Wednesday, went through a simulated game yesterday. He is, though, still handing off only with his right hand.
He took a weird tumble in practice. I don't know if you saw that. Like he was doing a drill. He just fell over his own feet.
Yeah. No, I mean, first of all, this guy tore his whole knee up last year and was back in like a month. So I don't know what's going on. The fact that he had surgery and was back in 4 days throwing the ball like there was nothing had happened, he might be like an Iron Man, like some sort of bionic figure here.
Yeah. Whatever. They just got Micah Parsons for their season opener against the Lions. You cannot rain on a Packer fan parade today.
Yeah.
I wouldn't throw him a parade yet, but they just got a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah, my brother was bugging in the chat yesterday. He's a Packer fan.
This is their moment. Yeah. They never do stuff like this.
And I don't know if they boxed out the Lions or if the Lions didn't want to pay that money, but that's a big deal too. Because if the Lions had added Parsons, then boom, it would have been real trouble. Sorry to distract the Packer love there.
Let me get this out of the way as soon as possible this morning.
There you go, drive deep to right. He got a lot of that one. That baby's gone. Home run, Trent Grisham. 9-4 Yankees, yet another home run.
God.
He joins the list of Bellinger, Chisholm, and now Grisham.
Dave Sims whispering sweet nothings into Manny's ear on WFAN. Number 27 for Trent Grisham.
30 home run hitter, Trent Grisham.
The Jalen Brunson of baseball.
That's got contract year written all over it. You're going to sign him. He's going to turn into DJ LeMahieu. But that's
the Yankees are not going to sign him. He's going to end up going to the Royals, and I'm going to have to forced to be watch Kansas City baseball.
Honestly, the Royals are the only team that hasn't traded away somebody huge. Anyway,
it's a 10-4
Kansas City
Yankee win at the White Sox. The Red Sox won again in Baltimore yesterday afternoon, so they remain a half game better than the Yanks, but both teams do get a half game on the idle first place. Blue Jays, Toronto, 3.5 games clear of Boston. Angel Reese, 15 points, 20 rebounds, but the Sky lose in Phoenix, 83-79. Kalia Copper, 28 for the Mercury. And American Tommy Paul, the 14th seed, an early morning win at the U.S. Open. 4 hours, 25 minutes to beat Nuno Borges in 5 sets. The match ending after midnight Eastern. This one could have ended much earlier. Paul had a match point in the third set, didn't convert. 2 hours later, he gets the win in 5. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. We see you guys on the phones. You want to talk about the Micah Parsons trade, and so do we. Did the Cowboys make the right decision to trade Parsons? And was this about football? Was this about money? Or was this about ego? Why is Micah Parsons not a Dallas Cowboy today? Instead, he is a Green Bay Packer. We'll get to the Packer side of things. And also how this is going over in the Cowboys locker room. We got a little insight from one of the Cowboys' most famous reporters. All that and more for you. 888-710-4ISN.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She's probably in Texas, Amarillo, all I know, George Strait, yeah, that's where all them exes go. If she
Micah Parsons traded yesterday, and the NFL world gets turned upside down. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, 2 first-round picks, and a defensive tackle named Kenny Clark on his way to Dallas for Micah Parsons, now a member of the Green Bay Packers. Pearl, we've been getting the reaction from Dallas.
Incredible. We're learning that the national reaction and the local reaction are very different.
Very different. It looks like in Dallas, everyone's basically happy to see Parsons go, including Michael, who's in Dallas, said that Micah Parsons is a prima donna. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Yeah, how's it going? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, ever since he got here, all he talked about was his podcast and his brand. And, I mean, it's just always been about him, and, you know, it just never seemed like it was about the team. And, I mean, I'm not saying he's not one of the top 5 pass rushers in the league, but the guy is horrible against the run. And, I mean, I would take Henderson, Garrett, and Watt easily over him. And to pay him what he got paid is an absurd waste of money, in my opinion.
You think Trey Hendrickson's better than Micah Parsons?
100%. When you factor in against the run, absolutely. Not to mention he's had more sacks than Parsons basically the last 2 or 3 seasons, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
But, Michael, here's the thing, and thank you for the call. I mean, first of all, like, keep the main thing the main thing. You know, lots of guys have podcasts. I wouldn't, like the team that is Jerry Jones, a human, like, watering hose as a person, just keeps spitting out things. You know, I wouldn't get too worried about that because it's never seemed to be a distraction that hurt his production on the field. The other part, too, about Micah Parsons not being good against the run, does the whole team, though, and the whole defense have to wear some of that, right? Not every pass rusher or outside linebacker or whatever is going to be great against the run. Micah Parsons still an elite talent. Is that not up to the architects of the team to create some balance? And I think it's mostly because draft picks didn't hit like Mazi Smith.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they just remember they paid that guy Osa this offseason $20 million a year. So they paid him. I totally agree.
Adigizua.
By the way, I mean, listen, the Packers did the same thing. They traded for Parsons because their draft picks didn't hit. Their pass rushers didn't hit. Gary got hurt, and Lucas Van Ness was the 13th pick in the draft. So it's not just the Cowboys who did this. But, yeah, no, I think Parsons is a little better than people are giving him credit for. I think he's still a better player than Trey Hendrickson. That's just me.
Mike is in Texas. Mike, not losing sleep over the Parsons trade. You wanted him out of town?
For that money, yeah. He is, what a defense guy gets? 60-something snaps a game, so 1,000 snaps over the year. You can't rate him off of the 12 or 15 sacks he gets. It's the give up on the other plays. You don't see him chasing plays down. Everybody's right about him against the
Mike,
run.
that's not true.
No, because I watch all the games. You don't.
He runs, but he's famous for chasing down guys in the open field. Like you see his speed in that situation.
It's like LeBron when he can make a highlight chase down. He does it.
That could be
around the rest of the time.
That could be, but I've seen him chase down guys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, those 10 times a year you see it. It's the give up. It's the he says he wants to be a team leader, but you need your team leaders to step up in the big games and all that. He disappears. He hangs his head in the big games. If he's not getting into the backfield because he's getting double teamed and all that, he hangs his head instead of realizing that he's freeing other guys up to do stuff. He disappears after big games instead of standing up and taking it and being the leader. It's one thing to say you want to do it. It's another thing to do it. All the callers are right. He can't stop the run. So, I don't want to hear about the 15 sacks he does a game or a year when the other 900 plays, he's not as effective as he should be.
Yeah.
And for $48 million or whatever, that's way overpaid. And there's guys on the radio here who like to bash Jerry. I'm talking like radio hosts.
Sure.
A lot of them are insiders. I tuned in yesterday expecting them to be on the bash wagon, and they're not. They are all 100% in the Cowboys' corner, and they're insiders in the organization. There's a lot of people in Jerry's ear telling him to dump Micah.
Well, okay.
So he has worn out his welcome here.
Well, that's very interesting. But you know what? And that's fine. But can I just bring this up? Even if you sick of Micah Parsons, either don't like his approach, think that he loafs on plays, whatever the criticism that Mike just levied there, this is still a broken process. You cannot say, even if Jerry ends up being maybe right on this. I don't know if he's going to. We're going to have to take years to adjudicate that. But you cannot tell me that the process was correct here. Because you got two things that Jerry's telling you. Either he offered Micah Parsons the contract. So this is either all total BS, and he was completely on board with paying him Perloff 4 months ago. Okay? So in the spring, he either was on board with paying him and thought he had a handshake deal to the point where he had a bruised ego that Micah would, kind of go back on the deal. Or you don't do this a week before the season because you will not have the amount of suitors that you could have had in the spring. And by the way, that could have been the spring that just happened in 2025, Pearl, or 2026. You actually could have had Micah Parsons play this year. He needs to play. In order for him to get closer to free agency and have the year's toll and all that stuff, he cannot sit out the season. So you could have had him play this year on that fifth-year option.
Well, he might not have done that, though.
But if he sits out, then he doesn't get credit for the year.
But he might have come. He might have
him.
come in at the last minute after the Cowboys were 1-4.
Okay, well, you got him for nothing now. You don't have him at all this season. So you could have actually played this out, and you could have traded him this upcoming spring and gotten those two same first-round picks, maybe from a team that's picking higher than we think in the first round, and could have done it that way. So even if you love Jerry today and you think he finally is the gambler again and he's back on it and he's got the fastball back, the process is still super flawed.
That's not where I'm disagreeing with all these callers. Micah Parsons is a way better player than everybody is saying right now on our airwaves. I mean,
I thought so too.
I honestly keep on calling in Dallas. I understand you get run all over, but look at any these analytic grades like Pro Football Focus. Micah Parsons is a killer, and I've seen him live against the Eagles many times. That dude kills us.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Even if we may be going away on your affiliate, hang with us. Come in the chat. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Come hang.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Jerry strikes again. Always has the ability to keep us on our toes. Jerry Jones, that is, the owner of the Cowboys, makes a huge decision yesterday, trading away Micah Parsons for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, a defensive tackle from the Green Bay Packers. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. What a stunning twist here. Now, we had gotten some rumblings early in the day, Pearl, that this may happen and that a trade could actually happen. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't believe it because we've been led down this boy who cried wolf stuff so many times with all these contract impasses. I just never thought I'd see it, so I was stunned yesterday. Our question to you, was this business or personal? And is it possible the Cowboys are going to be better off now that they've traded Micah Parsons?
No. It was personal because Jerry wanted to sign him before. And no, they're not going to be better off. I don't understand this idea that we're getting from callers that Dallas has a addition by subtraction here. He's your best player by a mile on defense. He is basically, as someone called earlier, your Trey Hendrickson to the Bengals. Again, I feel like we're getting way too much Parsons slander. He is statistically the most effective pass rusher in the NFL. He beats his one-on-one pass rusher more than TJ Watt, more than Nick Bosa, more than Trey Hendrickson. He is the most effective one-on-one pass rusher in the league. He's not good against the run. So that's all true, but people are painting him out like he can't do anything. Watch him in Green Bay. That's going to be scary.
So Jerry Jones yesterday likened this to the Herschel Walker trade, said it right off the bat that this is going to be the Herschel Walker trade. But to be honest, I think that's really misguided here. First of all, that Herschel Walker trade, a few things had to happen. First of all, you got back more players that none of them really hit and more draft picks than you got with this trade yesterday. And also, a big part of the Herschel Walker trade is that Herschel never really worked out with Minnesota. It didn't last long, and it wasn't effective. If Micah Parsons goes to Green Bay and wins the Super Bowl or even gets to the NFC Championship game, you lose. You've lost the trade.
Well, do you mean because of the draft picks or just like in
both sides? Like,
well,
again, I don't think that people give that part of the Herschel Walker trade. The reason why that goes down as this big victory for the Cowboys is not just how it helped to build the Cowboys, which we obviously know, but Herschel didn't do anything in Minnesota. And so that's a big part of it too.
Well, that's a very non-analytical approach to this. You do what's best for your team. Like, who cares what the guy does on the other team?
I'm just saying, we watched this with the New York Giants and with your Philadelphia Eagles, and the Giants said goodbye to Saquon Barkley.
Right.
And people may have even said, that's smart because you shouldn't pay running backs. Well, what happened? The Eagles won the Super Bowl, and not even that Barkley had a huge game in the actual Super Bowl, but he was massive all year, helped the Eagles get home field advantage, helped them in the playoffs, led them in the playoffs. Like, the passing attack for the Eagles was not the thing. It was Saquon Barkley's rushing attack.
Well, you're talking about perception, though.
Yes.
There's actually a reality to why this is a bad deal. You don't want to trade for 2 first-round picks that are going to be in your late 20s. And, you know, I think EJ and I might disagree on this. The Rams, for 5 years, said, we don't care about picks that are not above 20. We have data that shows if you don't get a top 10 player, they're not going to be as impactful. So the data shows if the Packers stay healthy, which is a big if, that these are not going to be valuable picks. If you get say you end up getting the 28th and the 30th pick and Kenny Clark for a young superstar, future Hall of Fame pass rusher. It's not enough.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. We can talk about the process of this whole thing and why, if Jerry Jones yesterday in his press conference said that they basically been dangling Micah Parsons out there all spring, this is what you got? Why are you smiling at me like that, Manny? No. Okay, let's go to the phones. 888-710-4ISN. Today is all about you. How you feel about the trade? Because we're getting a lot of intel from Dallas that you guys are happy about this. Good riddance to Micah Parsons. Jason is in Dallas. Jason, you want to see Parsons leave?
Well, I live 10 hours from Dallas. I'm in Harlingen, next to South Padre Island.
Okay.
I'm a diehard Cowboys fan, and I'm a realist. I have two easy questions for you. What have the Cowboys done the last 4 years?
12-5, 12-5, 12-5, and
how many playoff wins?
Something else.
One.
Yeah.
How many playoff wins? One. And I love Parsons. I love Parsons. He's got holes, but everybody's got holes. But how many playoff wins in the last 4 years?
Yeah, I just love that all of a sudden this is only Michael Parsons' fault. I guess like this is where I think the disconnect is between some of the Cowboy fans we're hearing from Jason and what Perloff and I might be saying today. You have organizational failures led to those losses. You know, yes, Micah Parsons was on the field when you lost to Green Bay. So was Dak. So was CeeDee Lamb. Like, I guess I just don't understand, Pearl, why, and Jason, who's on the line, like, why is this all on Parsons now?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, because Parsons is the story of the day. If you're going to pay him $40 million, you would expect him to fix all your problems. Now, listen, TJ Watt gets a hard time for not being effective against the run.
Yep.
Nobody seems to have it, but the Steelers can't win a single game when he's not there. So you're right, it is a little unfair. His job is to rush the passer. We do understand the Cowboys fans' logic here. Like, they were not winning a Super Bowl the way they're currently constituted with Micah Parsons. But yeah, my problem is my problem is what they got back. And he's 20. How old is he?
26.
Yeah, it's like when the Phillies got Bryce Harper, not to bring that back to Phillies. He was a young free agent. That's why that worked. The Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. That's why it's brilliant. They're not trading for Von Miller, who's 32.
Right.
They're getting a young, in their prime guy, and he is going to be very, very productive.
So that's a good thing to point out, and we'll get back to the calls in a minute, but the timeline here with setting up for Dak Prescott. So Dak's on the wrong side of 30. He's just about to have his contract extension kick in, but now you're talking about, all right, Kenny Clark for now, who came over from the Packers, 30 years old, about to be 30 years old, as a run stuffer. But these 2 first-round picks that Jerry is so excited about, that he said, by the way, we could maybe flip for somebody before the season starts. It's Friday, Labor Day. What? You've got some other iron in the fire here? Whatever. But those would indicate the future. Those 2 first-round picks, you're not getting, those are for 2026 and 2027. By the time those picks actually get into their prime, Dak Prescott's long gone. I think the one thing you have to hope for if you're Dallas is that 2026 or 2027 pick turns out to be a quarterback that replaces Dak Prescott.
Yeah, well, I don't hate that formula right there. I mean, if they can get. So, by the way, are we talking about maybe a tank too for the Cowboys? Maybe not this year because they have Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens, but in 2 years, a tank.
But that's not what they're messaging. Like, Manny, let's hear cut 11 here. I know nobody messages a tank, but this is Jerry Jones talking about how he believes they're going to be a better team now without Micah Parsons.
Things are good here. We have just decided that it was in the best interest of our team to take the consideration that we have. We appreciate his 4 years, but we can take that consideration and we can win in our minds more than had we gone the other route and signed him. That's not a negative on Micah. That's just unique to our circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, I think to say, all right, he was the asset that we had to use to help reset our team is fine in theory, but then you didn't get enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you waited too long. And by the way, total hogwash because it turns out 4 months ago you were totally willing to pay him.
Similar, you said earlier in the show, to Nico Harrison trading Luka Doncic without calling every team in the league and say, hey, what do you got to offer? and getting what we all consider a flawed package back. Again, I'm hearing you callers saying that they couldn't stop the run with Micah. They weren't winning anything with Micah. You needed to get more.
How about Chris, who's in Birmingham? Chris, you also like what Jerry Jones did yesterday.
First off, keep up the Taylor Swift notification talk. I'm throwing the most rotten tomato at you, Bogusch. Lily tomorrow, the most iconic.
Listen, Bogusch is a Swiftie. Just let him live. Chris, what does it matter?
And literally the most iconic college football commentator, Lee Corso, is retiring tomorrow. We could literally discuss the who's going to take up the new hair here. But second, for every Dallas fan that's calling the bash Michael, stop the copium, bro. We all know the sales of alcohol in Dallas probably through the roof after what happened yesterday. And don't forget Luka. And to just throw a 3-time Pro Bowl talent under the bus like this goes to show Stephen has a point about y'all not holding the front office accountable. Especially when Micah himself says verbatim he wants to be a Cowboy.
Yeah.
This is a safe space. Go ahead and cry it out, bro. Cut on some Marvin's Room. We're here for you. Just let it out. Stop the saving face rejection. It's just sad. It's getting sadder than the father being bitter after the divorce. Come on.
Oh, man. So, Chris, you obviously I had that wrong. Not in favor of this, saying the Dallas Cowboy fans taking the copium, Pearl, which is like, coping with the news yesterday. I thought I saw most Cowboy fans were not happy about this. I'm getting a very different reaction from the callers this morning.
Yeah, I mean, it gets back to what you call it, copium?
That's what he called it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's what the kids call it nowadays.
That's what the kids call it, copium.
Yeah, I can attest.
So Jerry Jones, my take after the Netflix documentary was that Jerry says he wants a soap opera because that's the best he can do because he can't win Super Bowls anymore.
Yeah, it's a great take.
And I feel like Jerry is in the rationalization game. Like he wanted Micah Parsons, but he didn't get him. So now he's selling this vision that this is what he wanted all along. And I just don't believe him.
Rank these reasons why Micah Parsons is not on the Cowboys today in whatever order you think is most appropriate. Was it about football? Was it about money? Or was it about ego? EJ, maybe a poll. Let's go to Chris, who's in Dallas. Chris, good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. My take on this, I think because I'm in Dallas, right? It just kind of felt that Micah with the holdup was the 5th year, and I'm for the players, but this whole thing comes down to now, everybody say, well, this is not how you do business. The agents have power. As fans, me personally, I don't want to hear that. All these superstars who show up and say, I got the best agent in town, where are you guys at the CBA? Right now, let's not forget, Michael is probably going to try to get a medical opinion, say, oh, I have a bad back. So essentially, yes, this is personal. He was going to try to fraud the Cowboys and sit it out, probably from advice from his agent. And as much as we want to be for the players, I'm tired of hearing about agents. I don't care that you have Dave Morgutta, of Todd Frazier. I don't care about that. As a fan, I don't care about that.
Right.
Where are you at the CBA superstars right now? We haven't even heard about the offense, about the difference between McCarthy, Shardy, nothing. Everything was a distraction, and part of that, Micah's at fault. So, again, Micah's great, and you're right, it's probably not enough in the trade, but at the end of the day, me as a fan, I don't care about these agents and what the
care about
effect was of this year.
Right. And you don't care about the back and forth, which is what we got a lot of Jerry thinking that he had a handshake deal or that the details had all been hammered out and it was just crossing the T's and dotting the I's on the paperwork, and the agent coming in and saying, no, we're starting from scratch here, and I'm gonna be running this negotiation on behalf of my client.
I mean, I can see some fans who think that David Mulugheta, the agent, getting a little Scott Borsey, Scott Boras, the super agent in baseball, gets so much money for all his players. David Mulugheta got the biggest contract in NFL history for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, and now he just got a crazy contract for Micah Parsons in Green Bay. So maybe fans are like, well, this guy is just too good at his job. And kind of put us in a bad position. I could see him taking some slings and arrows from Cowboys fans for sure. And that's nothing. Listen, I would hire David Mulugheta in 3 seconds. He's really, really good. And I think, but to get back to your poll, what were the 3 choices? Ego, money, or football.
Or football. Why is Micah Parsons not a Cowboy today?
The ego clash with Jerry Jones and David Mulugheta is still on my mind. When Jerry Jones said, I don't remember your agent's name, that was bananas.
Well, I think the owners are not happy with this guy, and also the Browns owner, because they did give Deshaun Watson that fully guaranteed contract. I think it comes down to that. Yep. Now, there is a thought about whether or not Micah Parsons, forget the agent, whether Micah Parsons was really beloved in his own locker room. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, Ramon is in Indianapolis. Ramon, what do you think? Is Jerry going to be proven right on this one?
Well, I tell you guys on the raises edge with this one. I got the news last night. As being from the Chicago area and a Bear fan, I was like, oh, no, Caleb Williams already holds the ball. Now we're going to get killed. Oh, and then the guy in a quarterback in Detroit who threw 5 picks in the game that they lost in the playoffs. Now they're going to be in trouble. It just shook up the whole NFC North. We can cancel it now because Green Bay owns us as it is. The people in Dallas have you guys been to any? You all don't have any dispensaries. I'm thinking you got dispensaries in Dallas or something, because you don't get rid of someone who causes. If you want to go with the low number of 15 sacks, which in turn turns into 4 to 5 interceptions, which in turn turns into 4 to 5 fumbles, which in turn turns into 2 to 3 quarterbacks hurt and put out the game. You don't do that. Look what happened in the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles whooped up on Kansas City because they did what? They put pressure on Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
They were in his face. They made him look like he was a rookie. I don't understand your logic here. You guys sound like you've been lobotomized, or maybe the Jerry machine down there is working too hard, because the media is the most powerful entity on the planet, and evidently your local media, I don't know what Clarence Hill said. I missed that, and I like Clarence. I listen to a lot of his stuff, but evidently something's going on down there, because trust me, take it from a Chicago person. Green Bay is going to be that much better and then some with getting Micah Parsons. You can believe that. I'm putting them in the NFC Championship game right now. Thank you for taking my call.
Ramon, thank you. Yeah. Always appreciate your perspective. You always bring it. That's kind of what I feel like. Micah Parsons is not the problem. He's part of the solution. Now, have the Cowboys been able to be a complete defense? No, they have not. Does that mean you have to jettison Micah Parsons? Also, no. But so as far as the interpersonal, when it comes to the Cowboys and the team, and Ramon saying the Jerry machine may be working a little bit here. Tell me if you think this is a little bit of spin, or if you think there's truth to this. So Jane Slater, who we love, does a fantastic job, NFL Network. Here is something she said yesterday after the press conference on a show called NFL Insiders about what she heard from a former Dallas coach.
The building had concerns that Micah just didn't love football enough. In other words, he would sort of drift in and out of meeting rooms. They couldn't get him to focus. And this person truly believes that the Cowboys have convinced themselves that this is addition by subtraction. And Jerry was essentially trying to sell that to us.
Okay, so is this he actually didn't love football, Perloff? Because I'm going to be honest, that's the first I've heard of this. You can say Micah Parsons quirky, the podcast, we make fun of him being the head of Bleacher Report Gridiron. We joke around that he's this media mogul.
Big position.
Yeah,
media mogul.
I don't know how he does both. Meanwhile, he hasn't done a podcast since January. I went back and looked. But
but there is a logic there.
Does he not love football? I'm going to be honest. That's the first I've heard floating in and out of meeting rooms. I never heard that he wasn't locked in. Even when he wasn't practicing and he was holding in during this training camp, they said he's in the meetings, he's engaged.
Well, that's funny too. I did hear that report that he's been awesome in meeting rooms. There is a logic that he's so busy outside of football that it takes away from football. I can believe that just based on the A=B, right? Like the guy, he's traveling every summer. We see him in Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi. We see him somewhere.
I know,
he's on these crazy trips with sumo wrestlers in Japan and CJ Stroud.
But he was with CJ Stroud, and no one's saying that about Stroud.
You're right. But yeah, at least there is a lot. Like if a guy, we never heard from him and all we saw was the production, we would not think he's a guy who does not love football.
See, this is the part that I actually hate. I hate the trash the guy on the way out. Because first of all, it seems like you were more than fine giving him $40 million in April. But now it's August, and not only did we trade him, but now we're not even sure that he loves football. Spare me that teams do this all the time, and I hate this spin. I'm not saying this is Jane. This is not against her. I'm just saying to trash the guy on the way out. Jerry's sitting up there on the dais. No. We love Micah Parsons. We love him. Meanwhile, one of the best reporters who's covering the Cowboys has it 90 seconds after the press conference ends that the guy didn't actually love football and he's floating in and out of meetings. Like, I hate when teams do this. They pull this. It's the lowest card that you can possibly pull. Jane had more. Manny, what's the second clip from Jane Slater?
I think the building and maybe even some of the locker room thought, maybe we should move on. Not necessarily a full dislike or wanting to move on from Micah, but realizing you do have this generational haul. This thing has gotten messy. He wants to get paid. We can't pay him right now because of what we've done with our roster and paying CeeDee Lamb. You're going to have George Pickens coming up, Tyler Smith. And I think they had to weigh all of it in its totality and get a deal done.
Okay, so first of all, you're going to not pay Micah Parsons, but you're going to be more than happy to hand money to George Pickens. Noted. You want to talk about people who you question if they love football. I think George Pickens, you certainly would raise an eyebrow on that, and let's see how he does this year. But more than that, bro, like the idea that the locker room wasn't enamored with Micah Parsons.
That we know. Because it's DeMarcus Lawrence, who we know is a popular player, and he just tore Micah a new one. So that's why none of that feels like it's out of left field.
But here's the deal about that. Jerry was just saying he was going to pay him 4 months ago. So 4 months ago, it didn't matter that maybe he rubbed some people the wrong way. And now all of a sudden it was maybe like a straw that could have broke the camel's back, because Jerry did say during the press conference that he was asked if the leadership council, the players, the captains presumably, if they got any input on this. And he basically said, yes, they made it known what some of their opinions were, but he didn't say which way they went.
Look at a little bigger picture. If you had a stronger quarterback, leader, it would not matter. If you had Tom Brady on this team, I don't know if any of this. So I don't know if Dak's style really fits. Like Micah Parsons, maybe he was a bit of a all about himself. You could see that, right? And maybe he rubbed some teammates the wrong way. If you have a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning or probably even a Patrick Mahomes, maybe you can make that whole locker room work. I kind of believe what Jane's saying, that maybe there was too much noise with Micah Parsons. He's always been, loud. That might have been why he fell a little bit in the draft. I mean, he didn't fall that far, but he was a top 5 talent who went, I believe, number 12 to the Cowboys. He's always been outspoken, and I could believe that he rubbed guys the wrong way. Now, did he not love football? That seems strange because we know he loves football. He talks about it all the time. He's the head editor of BR Gridiron, not BR Basketball.
That's president to you, sir.
Yeah. It just seems a little convenient that on the day you trade him away, that now it comes out. I know DeMarcus Lawrence did say that, but, you could also have chalked that up to DeMarcus Lawrence is salty that he's in Seattle right now.
True, but it does seem like it totally makes what DeMarcus Lawrence said seem true, that he should stop tweeting and play more football.
I wonder if Dak secretly was miffed that, remember Micah Parsons didn't put him in his top 5 quarterbacks?
Yeah, now we're talking.
And we're just like, why would he do something like that? It's such a fumble, no pun intended. Like, it's just such an easy layup that you put your own quarterback obviously in the top 5. Everyone would do that.
Tyreek Hill put Tua in his top 5.
I mean, Cam Ward named Calvin Ridley the best wide receiver, and you know what I'm saying, Tony Powell the best running back.
Yeah, sometimes you got to play the game.
Tyreek Hill is like the greatest ever. Montana, Brady, Tua, Marino, and Aaron Rodgers.
That's Tyreek Hill.
That's Tyreek Hill, who doesn't even get along with Tua.
The biggest knucklehead alive.
Yeah, right. Tua and him are openly feuding. He's the third best quarterback in the league.
League history.
I kind of made that up, but
no, it's some of that stuff. Your mind starts to wander. Listen, I don't know if Dak's fingerprints are on this. I think that's too much of a stretch.
You know what I'm curious about? I thought about this about an hour after the trade. I wonder what that second opinion is going to be on his back.
I bet it's going to be A-okay.
I bet it is, Maggie.
I bet you there ain't no second opinion.
Nope.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
did you see him jumping around? And he had an Instagram. He's jumping around like excited. There is no back problem.
Appointment canceled.
Yeah. Or it's a doctor in Wisconsin who's going to give him 2 resounding thumbs up.
2 green thumbs up.
Yeah.
Here's a bag of cheese curds. You're going to be okay.
Get out there. 888-710-4ISN.
Like Robitussin.
888-710-4476. Okay. Well, the Dallas Cowboy fans overwhelmingly who have called us today say that good riddance. Couldn't stop the run, so get up on out of here. I'm going to tell you, our next guest, RJ Ochoa from Blogging the Boys, I don't think that he's going to have that same view. So we'll talk to RJ next. Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Wow. Great to hear from a massive college football fan like Taylor Swift. Welcome, Maggie and Perloff show. There were so many exciting things about this weird Nebraska-Cincinnati game last night. It sounded like the loudest crowd I've ever heard in my life because apparently Nebraska bought out the entire Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a flight from Lincoln to Kansas City, but then when Taylor showed up, oh my God, it was taking the next level. If people had known in advance, this would have been the highest rated college football game of the month.
Yeah, noted Cincinnati Bearcats fan Taylor Swift. No, she's really being a good fiance here. Maybe it's like a tit for tat. It's like you pose for me in the CGI forest, and I'll come with you to the Cincinnati Nebraska game. Meanwhile, had to take back seat though because Jerry Jones is the one who's got the big news today, and that is that he traded away Micah Parsons. Actually did it. He actually did it, Pearl. After all of this back and forth for months and months, will he pay him? Won't he pay him? And it turns out he will not pay him. Micah Parsons on his way to Green Bay for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, who's a defensive tackle, who now good luck to you, sir, because there's a lot on your plate. This is a little like Anthony Davis when he was the centerpiece of the Luka trade. It's like, all right, well, lead us to the title now.
I mean, it's so funny because now that Nico Harrison Mavericks trade looks pretty good in comparison because I'll tell you right now, Kenny Clark is no Anthony Davis.
I said 2 people who are feeling better today. One, Nico Harrison, because he's no longer the architect of perhaps the dumbest trade in the history of the city of Dallas. And 2, Arch Manning, who gets like a 24-hour reprieve from everyone talking about his season debut against Ohio State. And now that gets on the back burner because the Cowboys take up so much oxygen. Let's welcome in our first guest of the day. It's RJ Ochoa from Blogging the Boys. He's one of our favorites. Finger on the pulse of this. RJ, good morning. Thanks so much for doing this. We've been getting calls all morning from the Dallas area and Cowboy fans all over this country saying, good riddance, Micah Parsons. Do they have a point to be happy that Jerry pulled the trigger on this trade?
I think that there has always been merit behind trading any player. I think that if you're closed-minded to anything, you're not doing your proper jobs and functions as a general manager. But something I wrote yesterday was that doing it in this way is doing it in the most inefficient manner possible. And we're 1 year removed from the Cowboys signing Dak Prescott in the most inefficient manner possible. So you want to trade Micah? Fine. You don't think he's worth, whatever? Fine, but trading him, a week before the season begins is compromising the present. It's compromising the future. It's compromising your abilities in the 2025 NFL draft. If you want to extrapolate that, you're also compromising your potential ability to negotiate with George Pickens because they're represented by the same power agent. I mean, this was quite literally the worst way to do something really, really, really bad.
RJ, didn't you hear Jerry after the trade, though? He said it was the best thing for this. It's going to help them on football terms. What about the criticism of Parsons that, they couldn't stop the run in big games? And also more criticism, maybe he wasn't popular in the locker room. Maybe he didn't love football. Who knows? There were a lot of things that came out about him. What do you make of all that criticism that we've been hearing today for Micah Parsons?
Then why did you shake his hand and were you willing to sign him to any deal, right? If he truly is this demerit and this anvil and this person who's weighing down your team and who offers nothing and who fades in big games, whatever criticism you want to levy, why were you willing to make him, in Jerry's own words, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, whatever it was that you ultimately agreed to in this informal conversation? I think that all of these lines are cope. I think that all of these lines are people just trying to reconcile the fact that Micah is gone. And I understand that people are ready to move on and ready to watch the team play. And this has, just consumed all of the energy for the entire time that the Cowboys have been operating here in 2025. And so I really put very little credence into those notions because Micah's resume speaks for itself at this point.
RJ Ochoa is joining us from Blogging the Boys. Does a fantastic job. We put a poll question up, RJ. The 3 reasons why Micah Parsons is not a Cowboy today. 3 possibilities. Which one would be the biggest to you? A football reason, a money reason or ego?
I think everything for the Cowboys comes down to ego. And that's, one of my biggest points of exhaustion with people is that, they see something like this or pick your moment that it is for the Cowboys and they say, okay, well, it clearly means this, right? Like now we can very easily follow the flow chart to determine their line of thinking. Maggie, you mentioned that Arch Manning gets a bit of a reprieve. No. Arch Manning is clearly the target of all of this draft capital now that the Cowboys are amassing to be able to go out and target. That's clearly the long game. There is no long game. And I think Dak and Micah, the moves they made with them are representative of that. You have to make a decision with foresight in mind. You have to make a decision with, dominoes ready to fall behind it. And the Cowboys don't do that. This, to me, screams that the Cowboys were willing to do a deal. It didn't happen their way. Their money got mad, their feelings got hurt, and they acted out of emotion. Because the other thing is, the Packers aren't even the team that make the most logical sense for the Cowboys. This really does feel like if you buy the notion that the Cowboys wanted to banish Micah, wanted to send him somewhere that offered the most opposite sort of lifestyle that Dallas does, with all due respect to Green Bay and the greater Wisconsin area. So this really does feel like ego, and now it's trying to be explained in terms that are pragmatic, and there really are none.
RJ, how do you think this trade impacts the expectations for the Cowboys for this season?
You guys remember in Succession when they look at the stock drop and Roman is like, "That's Dad." You know what I mean? Like when they're recognizing what happened. The line for Cowboys Eagles moved 1 point. So if you're that's the Micah effect, I suppose, and you could argue that maybe that's not worth $47 million a year. I think that this team was always going to be carried by Dak and CD and George Pickens and be an offensive-driven team no matter what. I think they're unquestionably a worse team without Micah, and it is difficult to be Kenny Rogers and have to come in and be that guy. But they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. I would challenge anyone to go back and look at the 2020 team, who were the last ones to not have Micah as a part of the organization. It was literally one of the worst defenses the franchise has ever fielded. And before Dak hurt his ankle, he was on pace to throw for 5,000 yards and 1 million touchdowns because that was a requirement. That was the only way the Cowboys could operate. And I mean, this move is happening in late August, and it feels like something that would happen in the middle of March. But you have now lost your 2 top pass rushers from last season when you just look at what's different because DeMarcus Lawrence left in free agency. So this is a massive shock to the system with now less than a week to go before everything gets real.
RJ Ochoa joining us from Blogging the Boys, obviously all over this Micah Parsons trade. He's now off to the Packers for 2 first-round picks, and Kenny Clark is the defensive tackle who comes back. RJ, separate a little fact from fiction for us. We can't tell if this is just Cowboys spin now that Micah is on his way out, or was he really a less popular figure in the locker room than maybe we thought? Was there a personality conflict here?
I certainly think that Micah marches to the beat of not a totally unique drum, but a different one. And I think the way that he's handled these negotiations is proof positive of that. But I would offer anyone to go look at the way his teammates rallied around him in support when he was in the middle of extension negotiations with the Cowboys specifically. How many teammates have expressed remorse or sadness in understandable and politically correct ways, obviously, since news of the trade broke. I mean, this idea that Micah was this cancer and everyone is super happy to be rid of him is I think, a little bit far-fetched. And I mean, I would also point people to the initial comments that players like CeeDee Lamb or Dak Prescott made when training camp began, saying things like, and I'm paraphrasing and somewhat putting words in their mouth here, but this is ridiculous. Micah's going through it. We had to go through it. It's not fun. Nobody understands why it has to be the way it is. We're rooting for him. I mean, Dak Prescott went on record now foolishly and said that Micah would be a Cowboy for the foreseeable future. I don't think that anybody thought that this was within the realm of possibility because everyone assumed it would follow the same script that all negotiations do, which is the Cowboys consuming all of the attention and energy and getting it done. It wasn't until emotions got involved that they all of a sudden were now above that and ready to pull the trigger.
RJ, help settle a debate here. Maggie and I were discussing this idea of the big three, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Micah Parsons. Maggie had the idea maybe they should have traded CeeDee Lamb and you got to keep Prescott because you need a quarterback, and Micah, where I said, if you take CeeDee Lamb out of that offense, I mean, I can't imagine, I'm looking at last year, they would have nothing. Like almost like cancel the season because there's no chance they can move the ball without him. How do you view that if you had to move one of those big three?
Yeah, I think if you have to move one, it's probably Micah, just because you need the franchise quarterback, and CeeDee is an extension of him, so they are inherently more valuable just because of the way football works. But I mean, and I quoted Maggie's tweet, and I was agreeing with her, and it kind of set off the wolves, so I apologize, Maggie. But okay. but they could have kept all three. Like, I know that's not the question, but they could have very easily kept all three. A reminder to the world that Micah was first eligible for a contract extension in March of 2024, and that the Cowboys should have taken care of both Dak and CeeDee in March of 2023 when they were eligible for new extensions. Obviously, Dak after his first massive one, and CeeDee at the point of his rookie contract. But the Cowboys dragged out that situation with Dak and CeeDee not only in 2023, but in 2024. And then they dragged out the Micah situation all of 2024 and now all of 2025, and compromised would-be extensions for the likes of Tyler Smith and Deron Bland and George Pickens and Brandon Aubrey. So this is par for the course for them. You can keep everybody. The salary cap is real, and you have to operate within its restrictions, and that goes without saying. But if you're forward-thinking enough, you can do it. And again, I think my biggest criticism of them is, okay, fine, you want to move on from one of these players, do it in a manner that's logical. Do it in a manner that makes sense. Do it in a manner that proves you have some sort of North Star that you're moving towards, because you can't do that. You can't look at all of these massive, important franchise-defining moves from the Cowboys and say, okay, they're clearly moving this direction. I may not agree with heading northeast, but they truly are, 100% of their capacity is moving there. Some of them is moving northeast, some is southwest, some is, just straight north. It is a franchise that's all over the place right now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of room in Texas, so you can really stretch out and go all these different directions. Doesn't get you any closer to the truth. Last one from me, RJ Ochoa here from Blogging the Boys. The fact that it's the Packers, how much does that twist the knife for the Cowboy fans that are upset with Jerry Jones today?
Yeah, this is an answer that I think requires a much longer conversation, and so I'll do my best to be brief. But when all of world history is over and we look back at where the Cowboys lasted in it, their 2023 wildcard loss to the Packers will have arguably been the worst one in franchise history. It's a massive and serious inflection point that really broke the team, really broke the fan base, really generated a different kind of sense of apathy that they're still operating with. That they've done nothing since that loss, but make things as toxic as possible. And so to hand the best player on the team to them is a real slap in the face, I think, to the team's fans, but they've kind of made it a pattern to offer slaps in the face to them in this time period that we're defining. So it is really frustrating. Obviously, the comparisons to Reggie White are there. I mean, there's nothing about it that makes you feel good. There, again, is a lot of cope happening, but I agree completely. The fact that it's the Packers is just a massive, are you serious element on top of it all.
Well, I got to tell you one thing, RJ. It could be worse, because I don't know as a fact, Eagles GM Howie Roseman was definitely sniffing around Micah Parsons.
They couldn't have done that.
Micah grew up an Eagles fan. Like, there was always sort of, Eagles fans have always thought he's coming home at some point, but I guess he's not now.
I guess, but I do think the Packers are a little bit worse just because they kind of own the Cowboys. The Eagles exist as they do, and I don't mean to, diminish that rivalry, but this last decade has been dominated by the Packers owning them. Matt Flynn with the massive comeback in 2013. Dez caught it in 2014. 3rd and 20 in 2016. The incestuous nature of connecting themselves to the Packers by hiring Mike McCarthy and then having Mike McCarthy's Cowboys be the team who lost to the Packers in the playoff loss in question. So, I mean,
RJ, they played the NFC East teams twice. If they had gone to an NFC East, if they'd gone to Washington, that would have been a disaster.
I recognize that every Eagles fan wants to live rent-free in the minds of every Cowboys fan. It simply doesn't work that way. It is much more bothersome that it's the Packers than it would have been if it had been the Eagles. Because at this point, we all acknowledge the Eagles to be brilliant and perfect and awesome, right? Like there is no beef at this point. It's okay. The Eagles would be really good at football and do another really good football thing. What a surprise! That's totally not like Howie Roseman.
Oh, man, RJ, that is fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. We know it's a really busy time. Check out Blogging the Boys if you don't already. Just incredible points there to make the through line, even through Mike McCarthy. Just really smart stuff. Thank you, RJ.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
You too. Appreciate that. Hopefully the Cowboy fans find a way to have a good weekend.
September 28th, Packers visit the Big D. That's going to be fun. So, yeah, you're right. They probably should have traded him to a team that they don't play at all. But It feels Nico Harris. Like, did they call everybody, Maggie?
I don't think so. I don't think it was possible to make that many calls. We have more elements and tentacles of this Micah Parsons trade that we haven't even touched yet, so we will get to that, plus a huge weekend in college football. We have not forgotten about that. It is the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Got a poll up for you, Maggie and Pearl on X. The question is, what is the number one reason you believe the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons? Was it money? Was it football? Was it ego? Pearl, you'll probably be not so surprised that ego is leading this poll by a resounding margin. And whether you think this was a good move or not, or what have you, like the fact that you guys really think ego was the reason cannot sit well with the Cowboy fans, even if you believe, okay, sometimes you got to trade somebody away to kind of reset the franchise, because the process of that is all wrong. When they say it's just business, you got to keep it just business, not about who's in their feelings.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think anything is sitting well with the way the Cowboys are going right now. And why would it? And it's definitely ego. And listen, I understand Micah Parsons probably has a huge ego in his own right, but Jerry Jones is supposed to be the adult in this and get it figured out in a logical way and do the, as you keep saying, sign him early, get contract security, and Jerry is just going about this whole thing wrong.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Did the Cowboys make the right move in their decision to trade Micah Parsons? Andrew Bogusch has the latest headlines for us. A little late today, but thank you. How you doing?
Mom, Dad, there were a number of notable coaching debuts last night around college football. They didn't all go well, though. Michael Vick and Norfolk State took a 27-7 home loss from Towson. Deshaun Jackson and Delaware State came up short at Delaware, 35-17. But Eddie George's Bowling Green Falcons took care of business.
Will be a chance for a return here. It's Cameron Petaway coming up the field. Oh, you've got to be kidding me! For the second straight season, Bowling Green has started the season with a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Last year, with a different head coach, the Falcons victimized my Fordham Rams. Last night, with Eddie George on the sideline, they did it to another Patriot League school, Lafayette. BGSU winning this game 26-7. South Florida won 34-7 at home over number 25 Boise State. Bulls head coach Alex Golesh.
That's a really good team in Boise. I told Spencer after the game, man, I got so much respect for that program, and I know I said it earlier in the week. That's a really, really long time that they have done it the right way.
Didn't do it the right way last night. They lost 3 fumbles, failed on 3 fourth downs. USF snapping an 18-game losing streak against ranked opponents. Coco Gauff says the U.S. Open's already one of the toughest events for her because of the added pressure of it being her home major. But this U.S. Open has the added stress of trying to fix her serve on the fly with a new coach during the event. In her second-round match last night, after double faulting to lose a service game, Gauff couldn't fight off tears during the changeover.
I think I just showed people what it's like to be a human, and I have bad days, but I think it's more about how you get up after those bad moments and how you show up after that. And I think today I showed that I can get up after feeling the worst I've ever felt on the court.
She got up, she won the first set, won the second, so she advances past Donna Vekic to reach the third round.
So I've been flipping back and forth with U.S. Open college football. Like it's been on ESPN constantly. Her matches are painful. She struggles so she's going to win because she's one of the best players. It's rough.
I have a question about the timing of this whole thing. This is the last major of the year, and then you get to sort of an off-season-ish. Maybe that's the time to work on a new serve. I'm just saying.
Why are tennis players so hard on themselves?
It's a mental warfare.
Yes.
Just against yourself. I'm telling you, people don't think tennis is a warrior sport, Manny.
Well, I think the women are harder on themselves too. It feels like there's more.
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, like Naomi Osaka. I was watching her recently. Like she broke down The men, I'm not sure.
You cannot be serious.
Yeah.
Because the men are so
John McEnroe was totally had it all together.
But the men are so generic right now. Like I saw Tommy Paul last night. Like he's the same guy as every other. They seem robotic to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not there. But it does seem like there's more pressure on the women because they're bigger names right now. Like Coco Gauff's a massive star. You see the celebrities when she plays.
Well, one of them was Simone Biles, who she apparently loves, and they met after the match. And once again, it is striking how tiny gymnasts are.
By the way,
there's a video of them talking, and it looks like it's an adult talking to a child. It's crazy.
One time I was at SI, Maggie was interviewing the team, and Simone Biles was there. I couldn't believe
all five. Yeah. I look like a giant, and not just my feet that could crush them easily. But you realize how, like, the people who can fly, besides Michael Jordan, the people who can literally fly in the air, you got to be small for that.
Yeah, I guess so. By the way, I didn't mean to say that women are more emotional in that tennis thing. I feel like it came off that way.
You mansplained that one a little bit. Yeah,
no, you were looking at me like, I'm like, Maggie's giving me that eye, like I'm going down a path that I should be going down.
If they would just keep cooking.
I mean, nobody's worried about Tommy Paul's mentality, but then you're going to, Marty Fish should have a nervous breakdown, so maybe you're right.
A lot there.
Finish strong.
Suck it up, ladies.
Micah Parsons. Did everyone hear about this Micah Parsons trade?
Really
That's crazy, right?
Really stuck the landing.
Kenny Clark?
Keep it together, ladies.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Well, the Rockies are high and the air is thin. Two men walking in with a fire to win. Daly's got his racket, Rubenstein's got his pride. Tomorrow in Denver, it's a mile-high ride. The crowd's getting louder, you can feel that spark. Every shot's a thunderbolt cutting through the dark. From the city of Denver to the mountain towns, this battle of brackets gonna shake the ground. It's a showdown in Denver under that western sun. One man's leaving standing, one man's gonna run. The crowds will be singing, let the battle begin. It's Daly versus Rubenstein, only one's gonna win. Back at the station, someone's MIA. Belotti's still missing like every other day. And drunk Uncle Sam's hurting, can't stand on his feet. That pickleball injury knocked him out of seat. Guess he should've stretched first. Ain't no country song about no pain, brother. It's a showdown in Denver, destiny's calling out. Rackets will echo, the fans will scream and shout. Two warriors fighting till the very last spin. It's Daly versus Rubenstein, only one's gonna win. Tomorrow in Denver, under mountain skies, one dream's gonna crumble, one dream's gonna rise together. And if you're looking for Belotti, don't hold your breath again, 'cause he still didn't show up for work, my friend.
When the mics go hot, alerts shine bright. Maggie and Perloff right there all night. But behind the curtain, there's a backbone strong. It's Manny Rodriguez keeping this train rolling on. He's a chromosome of fire in the bones. The steel wheel and the engine, the king of the show. From sunrise to sundown, let the whole world know. Man, he's the chromosome. Yeah, man, he's the chromosome. Alani's still missing, snoozing through the day. Supposed to hit the clock, but he drifted away. While Manny's grinding, holding every line. Without his DNA to show flatline. He's the chromosome, the thunder and the storm. The
Remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
What do the sports fans in Dallas do to deserve this? Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You had Luka Doncic traded in the middle of the night a couple months ago, Pearl. Now Micah Parsons in what we thought was just going to end like every other high-profile Cowboys contract impasse would end, which is Micah Parsons getting his money moments maybe before the season kicks off against your Philadelphia Eagles, and instead we got the exact opposite. A plot twist from Jerry Jones yesterday. Micah Parsons gets traded to, of all teams, the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, who's almost 30 years old, who's being touted as someone who can help them stop the run, which has clearly been the Achilles heel. I'm curious a couple things. Number one, I mean, Jerry's all over the road with this stuff. First of all, you can't tell us. Shocking. You can't tell us that in March or April or whenever you had this big powwow with Micah Parsons that you had a handshake deal in place, that he was going to be part of the future of the Cowboys, and that you would, mission accomplished, somehow signed Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. You can't sell us that. And then yesterday, after you trade him away, say, you know what, actually, we were dangling him out there all spring. This was always the plan. We can't stop the run, and Micah Parsons is our best asset to try to get a haul back to try to address areas and deficiencies on the defense that one guy can't do. It's a load of crap. Either you wanted him, and this is egos and money that got in the way, or you didn't want him, and in which case you probably could have gotten a lot more for him had you really legitimately shopped him around.
Yeah, I mean, the logic of trading a player like Micah Parsons for a boatload, I can at least squint and see that.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually work. It's hard to replace a Micah Parsons with draft picks. He's a rare player. But it seems like Kenny Clark, like the analytics guys do not like Kenny Clark. They say like he has not had a good run grade over the several last years. He obviously can't get to the pass rusher. He can't get to the quarterback. Yeah. His pass rushing was terrible. He went from 7.5 sacks 2 years ago to 1 last year. They changed their front in Green Bay. And the thing is, he's old. He's expensive. So I just have trouble seeing him totally revolutionizing the Dallas Cowboys defense, which has been terrible against the run. And it's true, Micah Parsons is too small to stop the run, and that's one way to counter them. There is definite truth to that, but you nailed it. Like, the timing is all messed up. They should have traded him before this year's draft and gotten a pick this year, in which was a very strong draft. They should have been, I mean, listen, if they want another pass rusher, they could have gotten one. There were a bunch of pass rushers in this year's draft. They should have done this a long time ago.
Okay, here's a little from Jerry yesterday. Sat in front of the media with Steven for about 45 minutes. And if if you didn't get a chance to watch this, let me just paint a little of the picture. It's Jerry out there doing his Jerry thing, right? Which is a little folksy and it's a little, he's trying to really turn up the charm yesterday. He was not combative at all, not going back and forth with reporters. Everything was all positive.
Michael Parsons.
Yeah, you did call him Michael a couple more times. While Steven is sitting there looking like he just had a root canal. Now, Steven might be saying all the right things, Pearl, but you don't need to be a body language expert to realize how uncomfortable he was yesterday, especially when his father brought up the Herschel Walker trade.
Micah Parsons did an outstanding job for us for 4 years, and a little bit of the way Herschel Walker may have had his greatest contribution to the Cowboys. What he brought to us when he left could be a tremendous thing for our fans and the success of this team.
Okay, well, I think you're setting the bar here a little high for what you just did, because the picks that you get, if the Packers can even walk and chew gum at the same time, are not going to be the type of picks that you were able to get in the Herschel Walker trade. And I'll maintain this. I think a big part of the Herschel Walker trade in Dallas Cowboys lore is not just the foundation it built for the 90s, and Jimmy Johnson was picking those players, by the way, who was stellar. Herschel Walker never amounted to much with the Vikings. That's what makes this such a landslide win in history 30 years later of how great this was for the Cowboys. If Micah Parsons goes to Green Bay and they win a Super Bowl, that looks like what happened with the Giants and the Eagles with Saquon Barkley, where I'm sorry, but the Giants will forever take the L on that one, even if that could have made sense in a football perspective.
Saquon Barkley.
Because Saquon helped the Eagles to the Super Bowl.
Well, to counter that argument, though, if the Giants had been a wild card team last year, then I don't think it would have been as bad. Like, I mean, but you got to focus on your own team, not on the other team. Like, I think the bottom line is the Packers were going to be probably a playoff team this year. I'd say they would be a playoff team this year anyway. So I'm not sure it's going to be as lopsided. Like the Vikings? Were they that good when they traded? Was Herschel the missing piece? I don't remember. But I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. Who cares about the Packers right now? The Cowboys have to focus on their own. They haven't won a Super Bowl in 30 years. I don't care if they traded him to the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, you have to win in Dallas. That, to me, I'm not sure that I disagree with you on that's not a factor here.
Oh, I think that the destination of where Michael Parsons was traded to yesterday, the Green Bay Packers, only twist the knife in deeper for the Cowboy fans who have a problem with this trade. And two, you really just strengthened an opponent in the NFC who you mentioned was already a young and up-and-coming team on their way.
So you definitely would have gone out of conference, even if it limited the trade offers?
I think I would have tried to trade him to a team where I would take a better calculated risk that those draft picks are going to be a little bit higher than what I think the Green Bay Packers are going to deliver.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, but not because of the rivalry or the conference.
I think that's just his insult to injury on this one, because you have Jerry coming out in that Netflix documentary, which, by the way, it looked like he was just watching the episodes of the doc and like, oh yeah, maybe we should trade our best player.
Felt like a live version of the Netflix doc. He's like an extra episode. Here's a live deal.
Ivan Jared's like, oh yeah, we could do this. Anyway, this is what goes to show like how much logic was here and how much of this was just like impulse, but and other things that play like ego. But the thing is, I think you gave the Packers, who've ended your season in brutal ways, and Jerry says in the Netflix doc that loss to the Packers 2 years ago in the playoffs, where they got run all over, was like the most painful that he's ever experienced. Well, you just handed them a player to take them over the top. And I don't believe, and maybe history and will be proven wrong by this, I don't think the return they're getting on those draft picks is what's going to put the Cowboys over the top. So essentially, I'm calling the bluff of Jerry Jones that he thinks this will be Herschel Walker trade 2.0. I do not think that's coming, because you've already invested so much money in Dak Prescott and so much money in CeeDee Lamb. Like, you are tied to these guys. And you're worried about giving Micah Parsons money. What, are you going to turn around and give it to George Pickens, who's proven that he can't keep his head in the game for a whole season? So I think all of this is flawed.
Wait, let me get this straight. You don't think trading Micah Parsons for Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks is going to launch a 3 Super Bowl run for the Dallas Cowboys.
The new dynasty?
What are you talking about? Of course it's not the Herschel Walker trade. You should stop watching Jerry Jones press conferences, Maggie. I'm going to ban you. Like, you're like these Cowboys fans who've calling in. Like, do not listen to this man. He's a carnival barker in this sense. Like, you're sitting there trying to parse his words in the press conference. Of course they're illogical and contradictory because Jerry himself will admit he's just selling some vision that doesn't even exist. That's the problem here. What is the long-term plan? How are they building a champion? If you're telling me this is about getting a new quarterback after Dak, that's going to take a long time. And if it's about getting Arch Manning, there's so many things that have to happen for Arch Manning to land in a Cowboys uniform that to do this makes no sense because they're not really bolstering their Arch package by having the number 28 pick. The only thing that could save this trade is if Jordan Love gets hurt and the Packers are bad. Otherwise, it's just not going to work out the way the Cowboys want.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476.
Maggie, you should stick with your other take, too, that Jerry might sell the team. Because he said one thing yesterday that it made me think, oh, maybe Maggie's onto something. He said, if I was going to trade him, I would not tell you I was going to trade him. I would say the opposite because he's been saying he won't sell the team. So maybe this is Jerry logic means he's going to sell the team.
Okay, so that is Manuel, haircut 22. This is Jerry yesterday, one of the finer moments that if you are even, if you're not fully checked out at this point as a Cowboy fan, I admire you. But if you got to this portion of the press conference.
Well, just shut up and let me answer.
It got some chuckles.
You really think if I wanted someone to be interested in him that I would say, oh, I'm going to trade him? It's the opposite. It's the opposite, of course. And I thank you for writing it.
Ha-ha. Got us again, Jer. Using the media for your own wishes. Somehow that by him reiterating over and over again, we are not trading Micah Parsons was a secret bat signal to the other 31 teams in the NFL. Hey, make us your best offer.
Oh, my God. I hope that when the next Netflix documentary comes out that he did. I know multiple teams reportedly called him.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised. Nobody could beat that Packers offer. And actually, I think that's a good question. People don't want to pay Micah Parsons that much money. I wonder if the 32 teams, how many people would do that deal? I would think, you said earlier, so couldn't they convince a team that was like a 6-win team like the Raiders or somebody who has not had recent success? But I just can't imagine that nobody was offering more than that. Say the teams that need a pass rusher or need defensive help like the Detroit Lions. I think the Eagles would have done it. But I don't think they would trade in division because they don't want to see him twice. The Commanders, God, they could use him so badly.
I would just like to think that if you, just like what happened with the Luka Doncic trade, right? When you have a piece that is this big, that I think that is this appealing to people, even though, the price tag's going to be big. We know that. But I think you would have better suitors. And to do this a week before the season starts always just seems like the worst possible time. Said it with the Luka trade, doing that in the midseason when you could have done it in the offseason when maybe you have more bidders. I just never think that that's the right. It makes your pool that much smaller, in my opinion. But what you were saying before, I have this theory after watching the Dallas Cowboys documentary that Jerry's actually sort of angling to sell the Cowboys. And that's what I felt like he was, reminding everybody of this Cowboys nostalgia because we have not had any good, consistent winning with this team over the last 30 years. So let's remind him of the good old days. Let's remind him of, what it's like to take a risk. And maybe that convinces somebody to hand over $12 billion or something and Jerry cashes out. Yesterday when he said, I basically lie in every press conference, it made me think, man, he's been so adamant about not selling the Cowboys. Maybe it's the exact opposite.
Yeah,
I think I'm onto something here.
I saw a quote the other day. Not only is he not selling it, that he's put in legal provisions that will prevent the kids from selling it. I was like, Jerry's going to run this team from beyond. So I think it's a really fun take. But the reality is, the guy, what's he going to do without the Cowboys? He is the GM. He doesn't need to be the GM. He's holding on to this so tightly that to imagine him without it, I feel like he would lose all his purpose in life.
Okay, a couple for you from Jerry, because this is all we have to go on. Actually, Manny, can I haircut 20 first? Perloff's asking about how many suitors there were and whether this, was a trade that kind of came together at the last minute. Here's Jerry.
Then if we could get the picks that we ultimately getting, and we did have several teams that we might have had an opportunity to do something with. We did have that. And so this was no instantaneous happening this afternoon over about a 5-minute period.
Okay, kind of makes it seem like, and he went on about this, that this has been in the works for months.
By the way, he's such a liar, and he was very specific about how long that took. Maybe that's what really happened. Maybe it was a 5-minute discussion.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. It's like, Jerry went to the bathroom and came back and said, "Why don't we trade Micah? I just had a thought in there."
I was sitting on the crapper.
That's when all of our best thinking comes along. It's either that or the shower.
I was thinking in the crap.
I was thinking, how about Herschel Walker 2.0? It's just that easy. Get Brian Gutekunst on the line. Okay. This is another part of it that we have not explored yet that is, I think, important, Pearl, about who exactly was on board when the talks about trading Micah Parsons. And again, that's what we're talking about today. Micah Parsons traded yesterday 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark to the Green Bay Packers. Here's Jerry saying the decision was unanimous among the coaching staff.
The entire coaching and the representatives of the entire coaching, as well as our entire front office, everyone that is involved that has an interest in going forward that we counsel with. And as I've told you many times, contrary to maybe something that's written sometimes or what, I really do get huge input and dialogue and opinions from everybody in our organization, and this was unanimous.
Okay, so Jerry, on the one hand, wants to tell you that he's the gambler and he's the one who's the risk taker. He's the one who personally wanted to do the Micah Parsons negotiation. Yet, he also is taking the temperature, lick the finger, put it up to the wind of everybody in the coaching staff and in the building about whether or not they should trade Micah Parsons. And I just want to remind everybody who he's talking about when he's talking about the coaching staff.
Yeah.
This is a first-time head coach in Brian Schottenheimer and a recently fired disaster of a head coach in Matt Eberflus, who decided years ago when he first got the Bears job that they didn't need the likes of Roquan Smith, who's only gone on to become a first-team All-Pro for the Ravens year after year after year. So I don't know if I necessarily trust the people that he has in the room here, Pearl.
Well, I mean, listen, there is some logic to that. You want defensive players who fit your system, so you do have to kind of check with the coordinator, right?
I mean, should the coordinator be running their system, or should you be a good enough defensive coordinator that you can use Micah Parsons, a guy who compared to Reggie White and could be a great, could be one of the great players in the history of the league?
Well, right, but he's not going to fit every defense. I mean, first of all, remember there was early in his career that big controversy. Is he going to play off-ball linebacker, or is he going to be a defensive? Where do you line him up?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you read Eberflus needs a Kenny Clark type in his defense, and they don't really have it. So you don't trade in defense. You don't just say I need this player if he doesn't fit your system. Like, if you don't just trade for a tight end if you don't run a tight end in your offense. So there is logic to that. But you're absolutely right. Like, first of all, like, what coaching staff? I want to know, like, forget the coaching staff, like, who else in the building? Like Will McClay, this guy who runs the cap and gets credit for a lot of these smart draft picks. Like, what's he thinking when this is all going on?
He's in the room, presumably.
Yeah, but I know. But is he like really standing up to Jerry Jones? I doubt that.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Well, you wonder how honest people can be in the room. What's Brian Schottenheimer going to say? You're crazy. Even Jason Kidd couldn't talk Nico Harrison, presumably, out of trading Luka Doncic, and that's Jason Kidd, who's in the Hall of Fame.
Wait, I don't know. Did he tell Jason Kidd? Like, Nico Harrison did not tell a lot of people that was happening.
Let's go to the phones. Jay is in Nashville. Jay, good morning, sir. What do you think about this Micah Parsons trade?
Well, I heard him this morning comparing it to the Herschel Walker trade.
Yeah, Jerry did that.
They got a whole bunch. Yeah, Jerry did that. They got a whole bunch of picks for one guy, and what I think I heard, they got 2 first rounders for him, and then some other picks. I mean, they basically did with him what I wish the Titans would have done with that first pick that they had in this draft, and fill up some holes. But also, I think they kind of really, I really do think Dak is next. You know what I mean? If they try to fill holes, if they get the right quarterback next year or whatever, I mean, you might want to look for a tank too. You know what I mean? Because it's some good quarterbacks. Well, I know. You know, the Arch Manning sweepstakes is going to be next year or whatever. I mean, you might be looking at a tank, and they got 2 first-rounders up there. So,
Jay,
I mean, it might be some...
No one's trading for that contract with Dak Prescott. That's not going to happen.
I know, but, I mean, I didn't think anybody was going to, damn, $180 million? I didn't see that coming. I mean, I didn't see that coming. Matter of fact, they said Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys for $150 million. This one dude is making like $30 more million than what Jerry Jones bought a whole team for. So that's astronomical. That's astronomical numbers right there.
Yeah, but Jay, adjust for inflation and 30 years later. No,
I know.
Jay, thank you for the phone call. I'm actually kind of surprised. We'll have to unpack this another day that Jay's not into Cam Ward, it sounds like, in Nashville. But anyway, we'll do that another day. Today is about the Cowboys, Micah Parsons, and Dak Prescott. Quickly, this is what Jerry Jones said about Dak Prescott and how the Micah trade impacts Dak.
I'm not so sure this would have been results had we not had Dak. But the fact that we have Dak, we need to stop the run. Yeah. We really do. We need to get the ball back.
Okay, so basically saying Dak Prescott they believe in him so much, Pearl, that they needed to do this trade to help the offense. Like, to have more money, presumably, or to have Kenny Clark now, who I guess is the next, Aaron Donald, according to Jerry Jones.
Oh, there's no lie there. I mean, a quarterback's biggest enemy is a bad run defense. Someone who always has like my guy that I'm like, God, he's got to get a big game here, and then they don't get the ball. It's the worst. And it happened to Andy Dalton all the time. It's like, get that other team off the field. So there is logic there. Again, you can squint and see that Jerry Jones makes some sense, but the reality of the process is just so flawed that none of that matters.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Did the Cowboys make the right move in trading Micah Parsons? We will get the thoughts of former Packers executive, former agent, front office guru Andrew Brandt joins us next with his expertise. Sit tight, Maggie and Perloff Show.
Go, Pack, go!
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
But through it all, there's a victory song. Daily and Denver. Ruber showed up with a racket in hand, talking like he's finally the man with the plan. Said this year's mine, been training all fall. Daily just laughed and sweated it all. First serves in and the crowd leans in. By the first few games, it's looking like a sin. Rube swinging wild, chasing every ball, but Daly's got answers for them all. Rube just can't beat Daly, it's the same old song. Every forehand's fire, every backhand strong. The score's lopsided, the outcome's clear, and Peter Bellotti still ain't here. Yeah. While Rubu's out there losing in the heat, Gubs on the mic, Perloff's in retreat. Feeling it smooth, keeping fans on the line, taking that show and making it shine. But back on the court, it's another route. Daly's running Rube in and out. It's 6-love quick, no mercy shown. Rube is already wishing he stayed at home. Rube just can't beat Daly, it's the same old song. Every forehand's fire, every backhand strong. The score's lopsided, the outcome's clear, and Peter Bellotti still ain't here. While Rubu's out there losing in the heat, Gubs on the mic, Perloff's in retreat. Feeling it smooth, keeping fans on the line, taking that show and making it shine. But back on the court, it's another route. Daly's running Rube in and out. It's 6-love quick, no mercy shown. Ruben's already wishing he stayed at home. Rube just can't beat Daly, it's a losing streak. Doesn't matter
45 seconds remaining.
Joe's running hot, Perloff's nowhere near, and Peter Bellotti still ain't here.
30 seconds remaining.
Back at the flag, no smile, no cheer. Daly just grinned. See you next year.
Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Or put you in a mansion somewhere in Wisconsin. Like I said, ain't nothing to the
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. Andrew Bogusch is here with updates. I'm sorry, I feel like there's one story that should be leading all the updates.
Yeah, and here it is.
Kyle Schwarber, 4 home runs.
I'll point out that our friend and former boss, Spike Eskin, has been tweeting this week about Kyle Schwarber's struggles in clutch situations in the regular season and the playoffs, and it did happen again last night.
2 3-run home runs, a 2-run home run, and a solo home run. 9 RBIs. Popped up. Out to left, Eli White and Allen. And White makes the call on the catch, and he'll get another round of applause.
Yeah, we should all stand up and give him an applause.
I don't know why you would cheer him flying out with 2 men on base, leaving the Phillies lead at 19-4 on the Braves. Tom McCarthy, John Crook, NBC Sports Philadelphia. That was Schwarber missing out on becoming the first player ever with 5 homers in a game. He settles for being the 4th Philly, the 3rd player this season and the 21st overall to go deep 4 times in a single contest. He tied the team record with 9 RBI.
I did not know that no
I've never
one had
seen the true face of a coward.
I did not know no one had ever hit 5 in a game. I'll be honest. I had to Google it last night.
I think we would have known that.
Yeah, but the 4 home runs is so rare, so much rarer than the cycle. That's for sure. Would you guys rather hit 4 homers in a game or go for the cycle? For me, it's a no-brainer.
I would hit 4 homers. But, I mean, you say it's not that often, but this is, what, the 3rd, 4th time that we've seen 4 home runs this season?
But we didn't have one for, 10-plus years.
2017.
We hadn't seen a no-hitter for years and a perfect game for years. And what, in 2013, we saw, 6 no-hitters and 6 perfect games in a year?
And everyone freaked out, and we haven't had that pace since.
I think we should freak out about this.
Yes.
No, go ahead. But people were like, oh, it's easy now. And then we went back to normal.
By the way, I can't even remember the A's guy who was it an A's player?
Yeah, Nick Kurtz.
Nick Kurt.
He's
Say
nice.
that very slowly, please.
You better remember him. He's a stud.
Oh, sorry. I'm just not staying up late watching a lot of A's baseball.
I don't think that many people in Sacramento are doing that either.
Does anybody know what Kyle Schwarber did after hitting 4 home runs in this game?
Go to Chicky and Pete's.
Nope.
Oh.
Fly out to an infielder or
Okay,
whatever.
after the game, like
okay.
an hour after the game, does anybody know what he did?
I'm not a guest.
Should we know this?
Beer is involved, I bet.
He filmed a scene on the field in full
up.
uniform for Abbott Elementary, the sitcom. That's based in Philadelphia.
No way.
In those powder blue jerseys.
I don't
too?
know. I don't know if he stayed in that uniform, but this had been a predetermined date. There's an episode, I guess, coming up this season that involves the Phillies.
Good for Quinta Brunson.
And it's her and him in the scene on the field. And last night was the night, and happened after he hits 4 home runs.
Good for her, man. I love that woman.
There's nothing better than an athlete cameo in a sitcom. Huge fan. Always works.
Yeah.
There's like Abbott Elementary is the last sitcom we have. I don't even think we have sitcoms anymore. Do we?
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, my favorite show of all time, has used every Philly and every Eagle.
Yes.
And they actually did a crossover episode earlier this season, the 2 shows.
Yep.
I think people from Philadelphia want to create sitcoms so they can meet their favorite athletes.
That's
my best logic.
That's why I would do it.
Yes.
He used to bully me all the time. I don't need this. I'm out.
JJ, wow. The first full weekend of college football started last night with a minor upset. Number 25 Boise State fell at South Florida 34-7. The Bulls hadn't beaten a ranked opponent since 2016. The Seattle Storm are racing a 21-point hole in Minnesota. They beat the Lynx 93-79. Skylar Diggins, 23 points, 5 assists, and 4 steals. And Tennessee men's basketball giving longtime head coach Rick Barnes what's essentially a lifetime extension. The 71-year-old already signed through 2028, so starting then, his contract automatically renews for another year every April 15th. In 10 seasons with Barnes, the Vols have won 232 games, made 4 Sweet 16s, and 2 Elite 8s. Guys, back to you.
I can't believe lifetime contracts like in this. First of all, in this day and age, not that I'm saying that Rick Barnes doesn't necessarily deserve to call his own shot here, but that just seems like a recipe for you're just asking for trouble, like when you don't have to do this.
Yeah. So this felt. How do I say this nicely? He's 71. I think if he was 36, it'd be a big gamble. At 71,
you're dark, Bogusch.
No, I think he's gonna go home soon. Like he's gonna be like, I don't want to coach anymore. And he already has a contract for like 3 or 4 more years. So this doesn't even technically kick in for a while. So this just seems like a little more ceremonial than anything else. And it's not like he's going to be there like, you can't fire me. And they've been terrible for a decade.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, is there anyone, and we'll get back to the Micah Parsons trade in just a moment. Andrew Brandt is going to join us, former front office executive with the Packers. He's a former agent. He's very, very smart about all this stuff. Had a little back and forth even on Twitter yesterday with Parsons' agent, David Mulugeta, who's gotten a lot of press through this contract negotiation. We will get to that in a moment. Is there any coach right now that deserves, or you would say should get a lifetime contract? No doubt.
Well, one thing, it's not even
besides
just about,
Rick Barnes.
It's, this program is nothing. Like with Tennessee basketball, since Ernie Grunfeld and Bernard King left, that's like, you can't be, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why they're going to lifetime contract.
Tobias Harris.
They can't do any better than Rick Barnes. So you got to go with the situation. But I mean, yeah, if Saban wanted to say lifetime, he could have gotten it.
Right, but he's not there. Right. I'm saying right now.
Right, not
Kirby
right.
Smart, does he get the lifetime? Dabo?
Kirby probably. Dabo, if he was anywhere but Clemson, he'd be gone already. So I don't know.
Well, Bogusch, thank you.
Billy Napier?
So much. Does he survive the season? Okay, Micah Parsons, obviously, that's the big trade. That's the big news today. He gets traded to the Green Bay Packers of all places. 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, and our mind immediately went to our friend Andrew Brandt, who's the executive director of the Morad Center of Villanova. He's got his Sunday 7 newsletter, which is fantastic. Former front office executive with the Packers, former player agent. I think I covered all the bases there. Andrew, thanks so much for the time. How are you?
Great to be with you guys. I was stunned last night like a lot of people, and you would think someone that has experience with the Packers would sort of say, yeah, I could see this. But no, I could not see this.
Maybe we'll start with the Packers side.
Yeah, so many reactions. I'll just start with my obvious reaction was I was shocked. I was Totally wrong. People look to me for advice on the business of football, the insights, the perspective that I have. And I was wrong. I was totally wrong. Not only did I say he'd never get traded, I said the last team he would be traded to is the Packers. And let me just explain, having so much experience with the Packers, I just know how much they value their high draft picks. The free agent thing, yes, we've taken some big swings in the past. Obviously, Reggie White. The one I was involved with was Charles Woodson. There was Julius Peppers. There was, even Xavier McKinney last year. But on the trade side, and to give up such high draft picks, just not the Packers' way. But here's the thing, guys, and I'm sure you've been talking about it all morning. I really underestimated the enmity, the lack of trust, the severed relationship between Micah and his agent and Jerry Jones. I really thought, okay, yeah, everybody talks like that. They'll get it done. I thought of Myles Garrett. Remember he wanted out of Cleveland and a mega contract, 40 million plus a year, got that done. Everything's happy. Everybody's happy. I thought the same. I really did. And I thought we'd have a contract, I estimated, by Sunday-ish. Yet here we are. And I, as a business of football expert, I had it all wrong. I really underestimated the breach of this relationship that's happened.
What do you think of the package the Cowboys got back, Andrew? 2 first-rounders and Kenny Clark. A, what do you think of it? B, do you think that they got enough offers? Do you think they got enough input from around the league of what they could have gotten? Or do you think they jumped on this a little maybe too early?
Yeah, I'm kind of listening to the Joneses, and you never know what to take completely seriously. But obviously, Kenny Clark, a strong player for the Packers, with the defensive inside being a issue for the Cowboys and something they wanted to address, feeling like they had depth at the outside on the edge. Whether they do or not, anyone can comment on that better than I can. But I think it's, you look at the number ones and then you can always rationalize, well, there could be late number ones. In my time with the Packers, we were always above 22, 23. You expect the Packers to be in the high 20s, if not the 30s with the draft. So you could always rationalize that. But it's a good package. You can't fault the Cowboys. Oh, they only got 2 ones and a frontline former Pro Bowl defensive tackle. That's fine. But whether they could have leveraged for more, I don't know. I mean, you can always point to, hey, the Jamal Adams went for 2 ones. And, you can always do that. But I can't fault the Cowboys. Now, if you're going to put me on the spot and sort of who won, yeah, you'd have to say the Packers, because not only did they get a player that's been in the Pro Bowl his first 4 years, but it's 26 years old. That's the thing I keep coming back to. This is not Reggie White. This is not Charles Woodson. This is not Julius Peppers, who were in their late 20s. This is serious. I mean, the prime. So the Packers have always been a draft and develop team, and this is draft and develop. Someone else draft and developed, and now they pay. But listen, I'm not going to bash the Cowboys for quote unquote only 2 ones in Kenny Clark.
Andrew Brandt joining us now, of course, former front office executive with the Packers. He's got a fantastic Sunday 7 newsletter, which I encourage everyone to check out. But Andrew, you're beating yourself up here. I don't think anyone expected this trade to happen, because the Cowboys cry wolf so many times on contract negotiations, and then all of a sudden the wolf is here. But we didn't expect it to get to this level. We put a poll question out. Why is Micah Parsons not on the Cowboys today? Is it because of football? Is it because of money? Or is it because of egos? What do you think is the number one reason why he is not a Cowboy and he is indeed a Green Bay Packer?
It's sort of money and ego. I thought, again, we're getting back to the mea culpa, but listen, I like you. You just said it. What's the Cowboys' modus operandi the past 3 years? It's wait, pay top of market. Dak Prescott, on the day of the Cleveland Browns opening game last year, on the day of, they argued all offseason about it's going to be 50, 52, 54, 55 a year, and then it came out to 60 a year on the day of. CeeDee Lamb missed camp, got a free pass. and got top of the market, $32 million a year. So we expected that, of course. Yeah, by Labor Day, he'll get 41, 42 a year. No. And listen, I keep coming back to the agent, and for people who haven't followed, it seems like Jerry Jones used a tactic, Maggie, that I was used to seeing when I was an agent before I worked for the Packers, like 2 decades ago, where, what I call hotboxing. Owners or GMs, and GMs back in those days were former coaches and scouts, hotbox the player. In other words, get him in a room, sweet talk him, no agent, and get the makings of a deal. And you can't play that maybe you can play that with down the line players. You can't act like that with superstars now, especially Mulugeta. This is the guy who did the best contract in history for Deshaun Watson. Like, that's not going to play. And when Jerry Jones said last week, yeah, the agent told me to stick it up my you-know-what, a lot of people kind of shrugged, including me. But I'm like, wow, now I think to that. And you can't treat a player like you would in the 1980s anymore. Like, this is something Tex Schramm would have done. Like, not Jerry Jones. You can't do that. And I think that just created this breach. And it just sounded like, I guess what I'm saying, Maggie, is unlike Dak Prescott or CeeDee Lamb, there seemed to be something else going on here. Like, do they not like Micah Parsons? Like, I know they don't like the agent, but like something else seemed to be going on there.
Andrew, what do you think the vision is for the Dallas Cowboys to get to the highest level or win a Super Bowl again? It's been a long time. Maggie and I both studied the Netflix documentary. Any chance that they're headed in a direction to get back to the Super Bowl?
Well, Andrew, you and I are both. I'm Packers first, but we're also Eagles fans. I think they're a juggernaut. I really do. I don't see it. I don't see it anytime soon. We'll see how the Commanders progress from last year, but I just think they're in the wrong division for that. And I don't think they'll be a bad team. There's probably, a team that's in the middle and going up maybe with these future draft assets. They've got talent, but, when you start talking about superior talent and teams that can contend, you have to now elevate the Packers to that group. And you probably have, I don't know if people thought the Cowboys before this trade were in that group, but, they're not going to be a bad team. I don't think they're a team that's going to be 4-13 or whatever. I think this is a team that is around that middle, and maybe a couple breaks, they're 9-10 wins.
Andrew Brandt is joining us. Andrew, let's get into the contract details a little bit because that was your bread and butter. You were doing all these big contracts for the Green Bay Packers for a long time. How much more money did Micah Parsons actually get here from what the contract details you have? Because I'm seeing a little bit on social media, and take that for what it is, about it says this amount, but it's really this amount. You can only trust so much about the numbers here. And the fact of the matter is, and I know this sounds crazy because the numbers are so big, but the state taxes in Wisconsin versus no state tax in Texas. Yeah. And I saw someone on social said he basically made $900,000 more per year. It wasn't this windfall that it looked like, that the contract for the Packers blew away the contract for the Cowboys.
Yeah, you're kind of in my lane here, as you said, because most people sort of see the number and then go away, and that's going to be their number forever with 188 over 4. But 188 over 4, first of all, is the extension years. So I know everyone blasts that out there. But there was a year left. Not that it's a bad year, $23 million a year. So you add that in, it's like 209 over 5, which is an average about 42. Again, nothing wrong with 209 over 5 versus 188 over 4, nothing to sneeze at, but it's not 47 a year. Now, the guarantees, as we know, as I talk about all the time, is what really matters. When I heard 120, some people 136, I went with 120, and I said, well, okay, that's probably 3 years, 120, 40 a year, and the rest we'll see, right? You know how I say the rest we'll see. And guess who clapped back at that? David Mulugeta subtweets me and says, there's no fluff here. Wait till you see. So we'll see. Now, I don't know Dave, but I've been very complimentary of him again for the Deshaun Watson, a couple other deals. Jordan Love, and now Micah's teammate. So here we are. And I'm guessing maybe it's a real deal, quote unquote real deal, is for 4 years out of those 6. Usually real deals are 2 years in the NFL. So it's going to be strong. Listen, the way I'm hearing it, the way you're hearing it, they had a deal done on the draft picks and Kenny Clark for a few days. And then it became this negotiation. But putting myself in the shoes, if Brian Gutekunst came to me and said, hey, we just made this trade, now we get a contract, that's pressure. That's pressure. Like you, Russ Ball in the Packers case, my former job, that trade's up to you now. So there was a lot of pressure on the Packers to do this deal, so that gave a lot of leverage to Micah's camp.
Man, Andrew, we could do this all day. Unfortunately, we're up against a break. Thank you so much for doing this, for lending your expertise in a shocking, stunning, all the words, all the adjectives. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate it.
You got it, guys. And I'll be on my own podcast later today, too. The Business of Sports with Andrew Brandt. So check it out.
Cannot wait because we got to get more details about this. Andrew Brandt, of course, you can check out his Sunday 7 newsletter, former Packers executive. We all worked together at Sports Illustrated once upon a time. It's just, he's the best. Okay, we got to take a quick break. We'll come back. More tentacles to this now that I have even more questions now that we've talked to Andrew. Maggie and Perloff Show.
Go, Pack, go!
You're in a 5-minute break.
Okay, wait, 3. Oops. I'm trying to time my minutes here. All right. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute. This is Andrew Perloff with a Sports Minute.
Gubs on the mic, Perloff symmetry. Ruber showed up with a racket in hand, talking like he's finally the man with. Well, the match was set, the crowd poured in. Daly versus Rube, and we all smelled the wind. The band was tuned up, the mics were on, but old Peter Bellotti was nowhere to be found. We checked the lot twice. No car, no coffee, no bag of ice. Just an empty chair where he ought to be, while Daly served aces on live TV. Bellotti never clocked in, not then, not now. While Daly was waiting in the crowd yelled, wow! The first set served to the last sweet swing. Bellotti missed the whole dang thing. Yeah, the lights were bright and the banjos played, but Bellotti took another workday holiday. The backhand sailed, the crowd went wild. Daly high-fived every mom and child, but the victory song had a verse cut short, cause Bellotti still hadn't shown up to court. Maybe he's fishing, maybe he's asleep, maybe he's lost in the Costco meet, but one thing's sure, as the southern sun, Bellotti's work streak still stands at none. Bellotti never clocked in, not then, not now. While Daly was waiting in the crowd yelled, wow! The baseline grind to the trophy shine. Bellotti missed it for the 89th time.
Here I come, size 15, hitting the floor. People say, Joe, what store's got more? Boots so big, they need their own zip code. Every step I take is a pothole road. Now I'm a size 9, that's still no small feat. Got sneakers lined up like cars on the street. When I stomp down, the coffee mug shake. Even the ref in Dallas did a double take. They say you can tell a show by the size of the kicks. We're stomping loud while Pete pulls his tricks. Shoes to fill, yeah, we're kicking up dust. When we hit the street, the ground might just bust. But the control room is quiet, that's the real news thrill. 'Cause people are still ain't showing up for the bill. Maggie called me once, said we're out of lace. I said you'll need a mile to wrap this base. But I'd trade these clompers just one day, you see, to find out where the heck people might be.
Out in Colorado, skies painted blue. Dilly laced up, got something to prove. Ryan Rube was talking that big time game, but left that court with nothing but shame. 6'2", 6'3", it was quick, it was clean. Daly played like he was born on that green. Now he's sitting on top of that local chart. Number one with the champion's heart. Yeah, so raise up a toast, give that man his due. Daly's the king, and the serve was true. He crushed that match like a back row song and left Rube wondering what went wrong. But even with Daly now claiming the crown, the Tech God still got
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, talking about the Micah Parsons trade, the big trade from yesterday. 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark going to the Cowboys for the all-pro pass rusher in Micah Parsons. Okay, Pearl, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we got 2 competing kind of stories yesterday from Jerry Jones. So stop if you've heard that before. But
Just 2? Okay.
What do you think is closer to the truth? Do you think it's closer to the truth that Jerry had the handshake deal with Micah Parsons back in the spring and really thought that was going to be it, like I landed the plane without the agent getting involved? Or do you think Jerry's new version of we were dangling Micah Parsons out there to be traded because we can't stop the run to save our lives, and we realized that he was our best asset, we could trade him for picks and a player that will turn into more defensive help? What do you think is closer to the truth?
There's only one. It's the former. He definitely wanted to sign him. That's a total rationalization by Jerry. I don't even think it's a debate. What do you think?
Well, it's funny because we've been talking to a lot of Cowboys fans this morning who have called us up and said, good riddance to Micah Parsons. And it's been mostly because of the football stuff. They're looking at the defense and saying, we can't stop the run. Micah Parsons is a great pass rusher, but if you don't have a lead or, you know, he can't help you, he's powerless when Aaron Jones is running all over you like he did in that playoff game.
You don't think it's Micah Parsons' personality, too, that is sort of turning fans off because he's so outspoken?
You know, I think that you're willing, and I think Cowboy fans, and I would say this, think of all the stuff you've overlooked because a player was great. And I get a lot of those players were winning, but we just had this Netflix documentary going back over through the 90s. There was a lot of really questionable behavior going on with Michael Irvin and other guys that Cowboy fans, I think, completely looked the other way on. Or even if it was distasteful, you held your nose about it. This is what, a guy with a podcast? I mean, we're talking about dudes getting caught with like women, drugs, the White House, these really unsavory characters that were in and around the Dallas Cowboys. And now because Micah Parsons has a podcast and maybe a little look at me, he's the clubhouse cancer? Like, I just don't buy that.
It's not, you know what? It's not just Micah Parsons. I think if you dive into it, there are some people, like, people tend to support owners over players sometimes. I don't think people like that David Mulligetta signing these very, very lucrative contracts.
The agent, yeah.
Yeah, the agent, yeah. I think sometimes players, when there's a conflict between a player and an owner, I think a lot of fans lean owner because the owner is always there. He's not leaving the team. The player is more mercenary in the sense that he comes and goes. So I think that's kind of the dynamic here. We've seen this a million times. When there's a conflict, I think most of the public goes with the owner because he represents the team.
Okay, but the way that I'm hearing it from Cowboy fans this morning, and again, you can weigh in at 888-710-4ISN, is that it wasn't about him holding out for the money. They didn't want him here. They don't think he can help the Cowboys win.
But the
Cowboy fans don't think Micah Parsons fits this team.
But even that, even a lot of people are saying they can't stop the run. I do think they're pointing to attitude, too. When the chips are down in the playoffs, where's Micah Parsons?
But where's Dak Prescott? Where's CeeDee Lamb?
Well, you already signed those deals.
Can't you spread that blame around a little bit more than to just Micah Parsons, or he just the latest guy? So,
yeah,
and he's the guy on defense.
No, right. I don't think those people did not blame. I mean, you had to blame CeeDee Lamb. Someone said that Micah Parsons' head was hanging down in the playoff loss. I don't even remember that, but I know CeeDee Lamb looked like he was about to cry, and Mike McCarthy had to walk over to him in that loss to the Packers. So, but again, the damage has been done on those two contracts, so nothing you can do. I think Jerry's outright lying. I think he would have happily signed him for $40 million a year.
Yeah, I think so too, but the insistence that this was a football reason, even, if I want to believe Jerry that, and it's obvious that we see the Cowboys can't stop the run, it still doesn't make up for the fact that the timing on this is so backwards. If you really want to stop the run, and that was your number one thing, you do this before the draft so you get help this year to stop the run.
Well, they got Kenny Clark.
Now they got Kenny Clark. Okay, but you could have had a player and even more.
But they could have drafted a pass rusher to replace Micah Parsons and had Kenny Clark.
A million different things.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
They say everything's bigger in Dallas. Bigger trades, that's for sure. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Earlier this year was Luka Doncic out the door to the LA Lakers. Pearl, yesterday, can't believe it actually happened. Jerry Jones trades away Micah Parsons, 2 first-round picks, and Kenny Clark, who's now expected to come in and be like Haloti Ngata or like, I don't know, one of the best run stuffers in the game, because that's what Jerry Jones tried to sell the fans yesterday, that Micah Parsons getting traded to the Green Bay Packers, of all places and of all teams, was about football and football only, that this was about the Cowboys' inability to stop the run in the biggest moments, and that Micah Parsons really doesn't help in that aspect.
Yep.
So why not trade him for 2 first-round picks and a run stuffer and try to address that deficiency? Do you buy it?
No. I think he wanted to resign Micah Parsons. It didn't work out. There was the personality conflict with the agent, and the money got big. I do not think that this is the plan going into the offseason. Not at all. Now, they do have some other pass rushers, because remember they lost Sam Williams early last year, the second-round pick.
Yeah, he's coming off an ACL.
He's a killer. He is a super fast pass rusher. I just don't know that he can stay healthy. And they get, actually, somebody there makes some really brilliant picks, because they got DeMarvion Overshawn, who a young pass rusher / linebacker who could be a superstar. He just can never stay healthy. Thing is, coming out of the draft, everyone knew he was going to stay healthy. So you can squint and see weapons, but there's no way that these guys are going to be Micah Parsons. And we have all these callers saying that Micah Parsons isn't that good when all the numbers say he is.
Yeah, if you go to some of the bigger like NFL metrics, that I don't want to like bore everybody to tears with any kind of stats and stuff, but this is from Bill Barnwell from ESPN, very respected voice, that over the past 4 years, so since Micah Parsons has been on the Cowboys were the league's best defense with Parsons on the field by EPA per play, and when he's off the field, they're the worst. Now, does that match the eye test of what a Cowboy fan saw against the Green Bay Packers 2 years ago in the wild card round? No, it does not, because the Packers ran all over them. But I just ask, like, why the vitriol so much towards Micah Parsons like he is the only part of the problem? You know, it's a team-building thing. And Parsons is an elite defensive player no matter how you slice it. Now, maybe the Cowboys fans are saying, listen, if it wasn't working, you got to do something else and shake it up. And for that, I would say, fine, I'm open to that. But do it earlier. Do it at a time where maybe it doesn't feel, at least on the outside, as rushed as it appeared, because you could have done this before the 2025 draft. You could have made Parsons play on the fifth-year option and done it before the 2026 draft.
One more option, or you could have really signaled this is a rebuild. You don't really decide you're going to rebuild a week before the season. But even if you did say it was a rebuild, then why did you trade for George Pickens? And why are you paying your quarterback $60 million a year? You can't really tank when you have a $60 million a year quarterback. Like, you want Dak Prescott to be healthy. It doesn't feel like a tanking team in any way at all. So, and that's the other problem that I have with the trade is the draft picks they got from Green Bay are going to be really low. They're probably going to be 25 to 32. And I don't, if you were guaranteed to say, I'll give you the 26 picks and Kenny Clark, I think Dallas would be disappointed.
So, I mean, that's another part of this, right? Which is the return and whether the timelines match up now with what the Cowboys claim they want to be with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and what they also want to get out of these future draft picks. And if you're a Cowboy fan, I feel like your head would be spinning a little bit. But again, we've heard almost, I don't say unanimously, but I don't know, EJ, how many phone calls have you screened this morning? Dozens and dozens.
Yeah.
And it felt like overwhelmingly the response was like, and I'm paraphrasing, like, get the bum out of town, which I did not see that coming at all.
Yeah, I think some of that comes from the standard that the Cowboy organization for the fans still have. I don't know if the organization actually holds themselves to that standard, but this is an organization about titles. This is an organization about building dynasties, and as great an individual player as Micah Parsons is, they haven't had a lot of team success. So if this was a player who was a kind of put their nose down and be a blue collar, all for one for all kind of guy, maybe they will be able to look past that. But because Micah Parsons is so into self-promotion, they look at the self-promotion plus the no postseason success and say, he's part of the problem. I don't want to see him anymore. I'm glad he's gone.
So we put a poll up on X at Maggie and Pearl. What is the number one reason you believe the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons? We gave you three options. 1, money. Didn't want to pay him. 2, football. Doesn't fit. 3, ego. 71% have said ego, and that's not surprising. Only 4% say football. When you're
general manager, of which I am.
When the football is what they were trying in Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones at a press conference yesterday to explain their side of things, that's what they were trying to jam down the throat of the Cowboy fan and the Cowboy faithful, is that this was a football decision. We love Micah. We love him. But this was all about not being able to stop the run. And you can you can see by at least the results of this poll, everyone thinks that's BS. It's not about football. It's about egos, and specifically Jerry's and Micah's egos.
Yeah, I mean, this leaves Cowboys fans at really a loss here, because now not only do you lose this great player, you feel like you're headed for football limbo in the 7 to 8, 9 win team, like kind of like even a lower version of the Pittsburgh Steelers, that you're just good enough to not get a number one pick. But, is the best thing for Cowboys fans to actually completely blow up and lose here, Maggie?
Well, okay, so a couple things here. One, I think that Jerry said this yesterday. So actually, let's hear it, man. He's cut 17, that he considers this the Herschel Walker trade 2.0.
Micah Parsons did an outstanding job for us for 4 years. And a little bit of the way Herschel Walker may have had his greatest contribution to the Cowboys, what he brought to us when he left, could be a tremendous thing for our fans and the success of this team.
Man, you better hope. I mean, listen, Jerry is the GM, so he's never on the hot seat necessarily because he's always the owner. But to set the bar here at this is the Herschel Walker trade 2.0, which is one of the, if not the most famous trade in sports history, let alone just football history, I think is a little rich.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry's way too caught up in nostalgia here. I mean, how many times is, like, 1995, that was 30 years ago. Like, stop. I don't want to hear about that. And by the way, you pointed out the structure of that Herschel Walker trade could never happen again because the Cowboys pulled this trick where they turned players into draft picks and surprise the Vikings. Not only that, again, we're in a salary cap league. That was before the salary cap. That's the problem. If Jerry could just buy players, he'd be fine. He can't. This is a total mess for Cowboys. And, I don't think that's a hot take at all to say the Cowboys are a mess right now. They are not making any noise. And I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I definitely don't see it being a Herschel Walker trade. I just do not see a trip to the Super Bowl again for a long, long time.
Let's not forget, too, if you're trying to sell the fan base, hey, we're a better team today than we were yesterday by trading away Micah Parsons because we have Kenny Clark now, who apparently is the second coming of great run stuffers of all time. He's Vince Wilfork. I just didn't realize it. But the thing is about that, it was actually kind of painful for the Cowboys right after the Herschel Walker trade. The immediate impact after that was the Cowboys were not a very good football team for a couple of years, and then it started to show itself. So it's weird with the timelines where you have a $60 million quarterback. At that point, they had a rookie Troy Aikman. They had young guys who were all on the same timeline. This doesn't make any sense.
And according to the documentary, what took the Cowboys over the top?
Jimmy Johnson.
Charles Haley, a pass rusher. It was they even after the Herschel trade, they still needed Charles Haley to destroy the other quarterback. Often a pass rusher is a finishing piece.
Yep. I think that just happened for the Packers.
Yeah,
the Packers just got the finishing piece.
They got their Von Miller with the Rams or something. I mean, yeah, this is that's I think that's why NFC contenders are scared of the Packers now. The Packers, we haven't really done much on their side. They have a lot of super fast defenders. I wonder now that Mike is there, I hate to say it, ooh, that's a team you kind of want to run against too. You do not want to get some of those guys chasing the quarterback because imagine third and long with Micah Parsons and Edrin Cooper and Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt. They have a lot of guys, and Lucas Van Ness coming at you now. That's a dangerous pass rush.
Let's get to the phones, and we have a bit that we want to share with you about maybe what Micah Parsons' standing was inside the locker room and in the team, which could have had something to do with this trade. Meanwhile, though, Derek is our pal in Baltimore. Derek, what do you think? Do you think Jerry Jones is going to end up being right on this one?
Nope. And I just need a couple minutes to get on all these fake, phony Dallas fans. All of a sudden now, Micah isn't this, he can't do this, he can't do that. This is the same fan base who for the last 3, 4, 5 years will call every radio station in the world after their team beats up on these mediocre bum teams and say, we're the best team. We've got great players everywhere. Micah this, that. Now all of a sudden he's gone. He's not worth it. He can't stop the run. You guys had one call to say, what have we won with Micah? Well, what have Pittsburgh won with their great pass rusher? I'm a Niners fan. We've won nothing with Nick Bosa. What if the Browns won with their great pass rusher? You pay your pass rushers. You pay your quarterbacks. You pay your left tackles. Micah, to me, is worth every penny. There's only one player in history outside of Micah that has had at least 12 sacks in his first 4 years. And it is none of these guys that's playing today. It's Reggie White.
Yep.
And the second is Micah Parsons. So all of a sudden now, this guy is not this and that. But yet when he was going 12-5, 3 years in a row, beating up on bottom feeders, it was Mike is the greatest this and this and that. It's so crazy to me how these fans all of a sudden now, Micah doesn't do anything. Micah doesn't stop the run. Micah's responsible solely for just stopping the run. First of all, stopping the run, that's not a pass rusher's main job. The main job is get after the quarterback.
Right.
His pass rush rate, his success rate, his pressures is top tier. That's his job. That's kind of like saying, oh, a cornerback, he's not good at tackling. Well, that's not his job to tackle. It's to cover the receivers. Micah's job, he's not a defensive tackle.
Right.
He's not a middle linebacker. He is a pure pass rusher. Yeah. And this thing that Jerry, we've been dangling. You wasn't dangling him since no March, because any smart GM who is really in the business of, hey, we're going to trade this star player, they would have done it in February when all of the coaches, owners, and GMs meet at the combine. And that's when the deals really get made.
Yep.
It just doesn't become official until March. He could have gotten, forget just 2 first-round picks. The man could have gotten 2 firsts, a second, a fourth, a couple of players. Kenny Clark, get out of here. No one cares about Matt Eberflus needing a defensive tackle in his system. Go find a defensive tackle.
Well, and Derek, I think the Cowboy fans, what they should be looking at, and again, thank you for the call. Great job all the way around dissecting a lot of the tentacles of this thing. Who would you have guessed, Pearl, even for Jerry's loyalty to coaches at times? Who do you think before yesterday would have been at the Cowboys longer, Micah Parsons or Matt Eberflus, the failed Bears head coach, who's now the defensive coordinator, who, by the way, the the Cowboys have been going through defensive coordinator since Dan Quinn.
You know how I feel about the Flus, Meg.
The Flus also traded Roquan Smith away to the Ravens, so I don't know if we can trust him.
Well, someone had a great call earlier saying, what was the Cowboys' defense before Micah got there? Everyone said it was because you upgraded from, you got rid of Mike Nolan and brought in Mike Zimmer, but they were
Dan
terrible.
Quinn, yeah.
Dan Quinn,
Yeah.
right. So before Zimmer. Right, they were awful. Remember that
Terrible.
last year? They were like the worst in the league. So maybe we're underestimating. That being said, I don't think they fall off that dramatically because they did play last year without Micah. They weren't good, but they weren't the worst in the league. So either way, it's not a Derek, by the way, I have a sense after that call where he stands on this trade.
Yeah, I don't think he's a fan.
Yeah.
And just like the Micah slander that it feels like is following it. Now, again, we'll get to what Jane Slater to say, some reporting from what the Cowboys front office and locker may have thought. But first, let's get to Nate, who's in Pennsylvania, wants to take this back to Micah Parsons' college days at Penn State. What's up, Nate?
Hey, guys. Hey, I didn't hear everything you guys talked about this morning, so I hope I'm not repeating anything. But something that I didn't hear recently is about, not to attack his character or to sit here and question his priorities, but as a Penn State fan, I watched him sit out his senior season in order to not get injured, to keep his draft stock high.
But it was COVID, Nate.
And just some of the
it was
but you got to look at it, as a full circle. Some guys are team guys. Some guys will take team deals. Some guys, they play for the helmet. And Micah, not to fault him, he plays for the money. And I think that he wasn't willing to negotiate at all. Jerry knew he wasn't willing to negotiate. You can't have the highest paid, defensive end, quarterback, and receiver on your same team and expect to fill out a competent roster. And just looking at a quick, beside each other, the Cowboys got basically what the Raiders got for Khalil Mack a few years ago. So I don't think they got swindled in this deal. I think Jerry kind of was sticking to his guns. Mike is sticking to his guns. And at the end of the day, he doesn't want to waste the season, and Jerry needs to get something out of it. So I think, they kind of both got what they wanted and move on and play football and see who does better this year.
Nate, thank you for the phone call. Just a quick point of get the facts versus the fiction out there a little bit. So it was Micah's junior season. He sat out because it was COVID. So it was 2020. So as far as like what that may have said about him, here's some other guys who also sat out during those COVID years. Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater. I don't know if anyone, J.C. Horn. I don't know
some of those guys.
I don't know if people are saying those guys didn't care about football. Either sat out a 2020 or a 2021 year.
I told you earlier, I watched the NFL Life on Micah Parsons, and it's a movie. He got in major trouble in high school, but it was crazy controversial. It might have been that he did nothing and was blamed. So he transferred high schools, then he went to Penn State, and he was the heir apparent to LeVar Arrington. I think he fell in the draft a little bit, not because of any trouble. I just think he has always been incredibly outspoken. And I think that's part of this process. It's like Jerry met his match with this guy.
Yeah, we said that.
The day, if he wants to go into broadcasting the day he retires, it's like, he's such a
He's
natural.
in broadcasting.
He's in broadcasting.
He's in his prime.
I think there's just a lot going on here. I think Dak Prescott, he held out, but he practiced. Dak Prescott is a little bit more of a kind of a quieter guy. I think that Micah's personality played into this in a big way.
But here's the thing about that. Like, when personality plays in, I always want to be fair to the player. All right, Micah Parsons has a personality, has a podcast, has some other interests. The Cowboys, you talk about personality, like Greg Hardy, is that the guy you want to bring in? People have been under Kevontae Turpin right now. You've got guys who have gotten in real trouble. I don't have to go back to the 90s, but we can. Michael Irvin. I mean, the difference was the Michael Irvin and those guys were winning, I guess, but they were into some really heavy-duty bad stuff. as opposed to a podcast.
Get more of those guys. Wait, are they available? Because that team won.
I know, but see, I'm just saying, like, to blame personality. To me, when you're talking about a podcast, like we're talking about when people talk about red flags, I don't think they're talking about a guy who's like outspoken.
This is football. This is not ethics class, Maggie. If you they don't care what you do off the field. If you are a team player in that locker room and you're doing exactly what the coaches want and you're performing, none of that stuff matters. It really doesn't. And by the way, it was just the 90s. Remember they got Pac-Man Jones and what was the guy, Tank something, who had all the guns?
Tank Johnson.
Tank Johnson, like Greg Hardy, like they've always kind of jumped in there. No, but Micah Parsons, it's a different category altogether. They're not saying like what you're doing is bad, but you're openly questioning the owner. That's the problem.
I don't know. I mean,
should it be that way? No, but trust me, a guy getting in trouble off the field is a lot less concerning to an owner to a guy who gets in front of a microphone and says the owner doesn't know what he's doing. That is not what you want to do.
Also learned a new term today, hotboxing, which I thought meant something else.
We learned a new variation on that term.
I thought a hotbox was something different. Yes, I thought that's what it was. Turns out Andrew Brandt told us this is a method that owners had used in the past to get a player in a room without their agent and kind of force them to sign a deal. And apparently that's what Jerry was trying to do with Micah, but you can't do that in the year 2025 because everyone is smarter and all that. Okay, we'll get to what Jane Slater reported about the Cowboys locker room and how they may be responding to the Micah Parsons trade. We'll do that and check in with our guy, Matt Mosley, been covering the Cowboys for decades. We'll do all of that next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, this NASCAR race preview is sponsored by Weather Guard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. Manny, what's happening?
It's playoff time in the NASCAR Cup Series, guys, and it starts with the Cookout Southern 500 from Darlington Raceway. The standings, it's been cut down to 16 men. Kyle Larson, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, Joey Logano, Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, and Alex Bowman. Those are your 16. Those 16, they'll be whittled down to 12 over the next 3 races. Is the Cookout Southern 500 from the Lady in Black. It's the round of 16. It's the NASCAR playoffs, and it starts on Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Vroom, vroom, Manny Tires. Let's get to Andrew Bogusch, who's got the latest and greatest. Big day yesterday. Micah Parsons gets traded from the Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. 2 first-round picks and a defensive tackle named Kenny Clark. We'll talk to Matt Mosley of the Doomsday Podcast in just moments, but I hand it off to you, Bogues.
Well, Maggie, as many of us learned when he filled in on this show a few weeks ago, our good friend Zach Gelb has a story, has a connection to every single thing that's ever happened. Some might find that annoying, but I will give him credit for this one. Micah Parsons was on the Zach Gelb show back in February, right after the Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic. So Zach asked Micah for his reaction.
And my mouth dropped. And I got scared myself. I said, am I the next person in Dallas? You know, because you really never know what happens. The fact that they didn't appreciate Luka for all he's done for them, taking them to a conference final. I would have, the finals and, doing all he did and being a 5-time All-NBA just wasn't enough. And I think that's extremely disappointing. I think when you invest in a player and he's showing you so much love and did so much for your program, you would think the loyalty is still right there back. And obviously you see these sports it isn't. So it's super frustrating and sad. It makes you sad.
And now Parsons plays for the Packers.
Yeah, I was thinking about,
funny.
Is there a worse calendar year for any sports city? Now, it got bad in Miami for a little bit when the Miami Heat and the Panthers both lost, I think within a day of each other, the Stanley Cup final and the NBA finals, but at least you were in those, you were at the end. This is much different. Anyone venture?
Well, okay. Well,
a sports city with a worse calendar year in terms of...
How are we doing with the Rangers and the...
Well, the Rangers have Corey Seager having an appendectomy yesterday, and he's out indefinitely in the middle of a playoff chase.
And what are they, 3.5 back of that final wild card spot?
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. I don't know.
What about the Dallas
Stars? It's got to be worse.
Stars?
He's like, I'm sure Charlotte's put some duds out there.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, in terms of guys who you thought were going to be there for a long time, generational, legendary players, and within, 6 months, they're both gone? early, like in their prime or pre-prime. That doesn't happen often.
I mean, New York had a rough year just last year.
They've had
Football.
It's been a while, longer than that.
But I mean, I would circle last year because you want to combine Saquon and then
Aaron
the
Rodgers.
Disastrous Aaron Rodgers last season.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was a bad year.
Meanwhile, the Dallas Stars did tweet out yesterday, don't worry, y'all, Mikko Rantanen is still a Dallas Star.
Hallelujah. As long as we've got that.
You know, a lot of people in Texas are big college fans and a lot of Longhorns fans in Dallas.
Yeah, but if you think you're getting Arch, like the amount of gymnastics that would have to happen to get that is
no, I'm just saying
crazy.
a lot of people don't even care about pro sports. They're more about high school and college sports. So maybe, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel, I'm not sure the day-to-day in Dallas is getting completely ruined by this.
Pearl, are you trying to sell us that the Dallas Cowboys are not relevant in Dallas?
No, they're wildly relevant, but it's not like...
Do not bring that here.
No, I just don't think it's not their all. They have plenty of star power left in that. I mean, gosh, I don't even know who the quarterback for Allen High School is right now. I'm sure there are 40,000 people who are fired up to go see him play tonight. It's not. I'm gonna tell you, Dallas fans are not drinking, crying into their beers right now. There's a ton going on there. No. Anyone help me? Yeah, I mean, listen.
No.
You know, it's football.
I'd rather go back to your emotional girls take from last hour.
Well, Dallas is not.
The female
Dallas
tennis
is not
players
Green
are more
Bay.
emotional than the male tennis players.
Dallas is not Green Bay. Like high school football,
That's fine, but
it
it's
challenges.
the
I mean,
Dallas
it challenges the
Cowboys,
whole thing.
Pearl. I mean, you know, this is like the one that's the one thing that everyone in Dallas pays attention to. High schools.
Everyone in Dallas pays attention to that.
No, that's fine, but you're a fan of
You
this
just said
high
one
school.
thing.
You're that high school. It's all fractured into the different schools you follow. The Cowboys. There's a reason why all those high school teams play their championships and stuff at the Star.
Oh, I know, but it's. I just think it's like this is not. Like, I do not think there's a post-apocalyptic feel in Dallas right now. I think they're way too busy, honestly, with college and high school starting. Yeah, Friday night. I mean, it's a big night tonight in Dallas. You think they're all just sitting around at a sports bar lamenting this Dallas trade? No way.
No, I think for some reason, for all the calls we've gotten today, they've all drank this
Yeah,
Kool-Aid
they're all-
that Micah Parsons was somehow the biggest problem you have when Jerry Jones is up there talking about absolute garbage for 45 minutes.
I
Couldn't
saw
even get his name right.
He kept calling him Michael again. It was bad.
Shereen Williams tweeted she couldn't nobody on the radio was mad in Dallas. She said, "Yeah, everyone's totally over this. Like they're just tired. It's been too long. There's no outrage left."
Well, I mean, that's a little crazy.
Well, speaking of college football, it's just week 1, but South Florida special teams in mid-season form.
Fake! He's got him! What a call! Singleton! Balls! Touchdown!
Words, fake punt, backup QB,
My
touchdown
dog.
pass. I believe that was Matt Barry on ESPN. The trickery helping USF drop number 25 Boise State, 34-7 in Tampa. That snaps an 18-game losing streak against ranked opponents. Back to you guys.
Bogusch, thanks so much. Okay, let's get some boots on the ground here in Dallas because Perloff kind of saying this Micah Parsons trade. Are you saying no big deal to the people in Dallas? I'd love to know what our next guest thinks about that.
I'm saying it's. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot going on in Dallas. It's not the end of the world for every sports fan there that they lost Micah Parsons. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's a big weekend in the state of Texas. It's a huge weekend.
All right.
Especially for our next guest because they play Auburn.
Well, let's welcome in Matt Mosley, who's the host of the Doomsday Podcast, who's been covering the Cowboys for a long, long time. Matt, what did the news yesterday? Micah Parsons gets traded 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle, to, of all places, the Green Bay Packers. What's been the reaction on the ground?
Well, good morning. I would say that, there's some fatigue. I heard y'all talking about it a little bit, but there's also some flashbacks that have occurred when you factor in what happened with the Luka trade. And so you have fans around here, have dealt with that. And that was just so shocking and so out of the blue. And the player got blindsided. This isn't quite that. This is a lot. Because if you think about it, both of them are 26, both in their prime. Micah Parsons, best pass rusher in football. And then you have an owner who, we've all been subjected, and I enjoyed watching it, but we've had this Netflix documentary. I think people probably are a little cowboyed out right now. But dang, I mean, the fact that you mentioned going to the Packers. This is the team that they can't get past in the playoffs. The only times they've knocked on the door in the playoffs has been against them. They got absolutely embarrassed a couple of years ago by Green Bay. Mike McCarthy and his Cowboys did, and then before that, both in I think it's 2016 and 2014, they weren't able to get past the Packers in the playoffs, and so they trade their great, best pass rusher. And honestly, it feels like the Packers. It must feel like everything here is seen through the lens of like the 1990s team, since we're 30 years removed from all that. And it must feel like to the Packers a little bit what it felt like for the Cowboys when they got Charles Haley. I mean, they got a monster, and it's a little bit like what we've seen from the Rams in the past. It's like, well, okay, let's just forget these picks, send these picks over here, and let's go for it. And I'd say it's an extremely bold move by then, and then it led to Jerry with some laughable Jerry moments yesterday at the news conference where they're somehow suggesting they could be a better team without Micah, and that how excited they are about Kenny Clark coming in. I mean, a close to 30-year-old defensive tackle, because they're going to be so good in the run game against the run. So, it's a lot to deal with for Dallas fans.
Matt, we've had a lot of people call in from Dallas who said they don't seem to like Micah, calling him a diva, said he doesn't show up in big games. What do you make of that criticism?
Well, I mean, he is a diva, which doesn't make him that much different than a lot of players in the NFL. I think he didn't do himself any favors with his coaches, especially with the way he sort of behaved during training camp, and then that craziness from last Friday where he was napping on a trainer table. But I mean, again, it got him out of town. I mean, it ended up, I think, accomplishing what I don't know if he ultimately wanted this, but I hesitate to say that it's like diva doesn't show up in the big games. Like last year without him, he missed 4 games, and they were pitiful. And then with him, the numbers shot up, and I don't agree with any suggestion that he doesn't show up in big games. I mean, he showed up in every game, and his stats over the first 4 years only compared to Reggie White. I mean, we're talking about one of the all-time pass rushing greats. So I don't buy that. I mean, the diva part I buy, but doesn't show up in big games and stuff. That's a joke. I mean, that includes like everybody in the organization, by the way. But I would not say, Micah. I wouldn't start with him on that front.
Matt Mosley is joining us, host of the Doomsday Podcast, knows the Cowboys franchise inside and out, and this is the day after they make a stunning trade. We all thought, Matt, this was going to end like every other Cowboys negotiation, with Micah Parsons just getting a massive contract moments before the season kicks off. But no, he's headed to the Green Bay Packers, 2 first-round picks. Kenny Clark comes back to Dallas. Jerry said yesterday, you're right, he said a lot of things. That press conference was a doozy. I thought Stephen Jones looked like he was about to have a heart attack up there, but, body language expert. They said it was a unanimous decision. What do you think was really going on behind the scenes in the last couple days leading up to this trade?
Well, first of all, I laugh when I hear things like that. Unanimous. First, who all was involved? I mean, did they get all the coaching staff in there? And what was the special teams coach going to say? Nope, I'm against this. All y'all seem to be for this. Yeah, you idiots. And so that's hyperbole, and that's just Jerry talking. And but from behind the scenes, I do think there was a level of fatigue with this player, and part of it is there was some expectation. I think he actually kind of tried to be a leader. I'm not sure he ever accomplished that totally. He was very accountable after games, and he was always going to be at his locker. He was always going to answer for everything. Now, you didn't know what he might say. He might, without really meaning to, throw his head coach under the bus. So he was one of those guys that was kind of trying to figure out, and they had asked him to be more of a leader. And then all this played out. I mean, the part that's unfair to Micah, though, is that Jerry really tried to kind of embarrass him by acting like Micah had, or Michael is what Jerry likes to call him.
Yeah.
But he liked, Jerry acted like they had a deal that they made. And he completely went around the agent on this deal. And it just seems so ham-handed. It just even in the media world, we wouldn't really try to pull stuff like this. Like those of us that have dealt with agents and stuff, you kind of let them do their thing and you stay away. And I'm about the only person in the media that can screw that whole thing up. So maybe Micah and I do have that in common. But it is kind of remarkable how bad how they let this thing get away from them. And I agree with what you're saying. I just thought the whole time this would play out similar to CD or Zeke or Dak. Or in the end, he would get the huge deal. And I think what Jerry's not saying is that Jerry, by the end of all this guy had made them so mad about this player that they were willing to, they were basically saying, you're going to play on your contract and then we're going to franchise tag you. Like they were going to basically put him in jail, put him in Cowboys jail. And then some other teams came along, and obviously they had been working on this week. And they get the deal done with the Packers. And, of course, I love this now. The Draftnicks of the world, the McShays and others are like, hey, by the way, 2027, great draft class. 2026, I'm already hearing, all the 27 draft class. They're like shrewd move by the Cowboys.
Yep, 2 steps ahead.
Yep. That's right. Which is just, the whole thing. But to stand up there and somehow talk about they're still insulting him on the way out. It's like they need to just kind of go. They're saying, well, we've been bad against the run. Now we're going to be good against the run. You can tell they had their talking points.
Yep.
And that was the preeminent. That was the main talking point they wanted to stick with. Like, we may actually be better now against the run. But, let's all go out and celebrate the arrival of Kenny Clark, defensive tackle. Goodness gracious.
Matt, we're up against the break, so real quick, I have a question. You mentioned Netflix documentary. When Tom Landry was at the end of his reign in Dallas, he screwed up Michael Irvin's name. He called him Michael Irvin. Who actually, after the draft, had screwed up his name as well. And they were kind of making fun of Tom Landry. Now Jerry Jones is screwing up Micah Parsons' name. This is a tough question to answer, but do you think, is Jerry less sharp? You've covered him really closely. I've seen you talking to Jerry a million times. Is he, this is probably an obvious question in his 80s, but do you think, is he less in sort of control of this team now than he was, say, even 8 years ago?
Oh, I don't. I'm not seeing any evidence that he's in less control of it. From a day-to-day standpoint, he may lean on people a little more than he did. But the thing about his mental acuity or whatever you want to say is, if you watch that documentary, he's still one of the greatest storytellers out there. My gosh, the way he kind of looks into the camera, the little twinkle in his eye and everything. I mean, I go through those times, and I am up close to him a lot in these conversations after games and everything. But when you watch that documentary and when you see him, I mean, again, he says crazy things, but he's been doing that for 35 years. I mean, I kind of have joked. I mean, like, we say, well, this person's losing it, or this person's it's getting away from. I'm like, how would we ever know with Jerry? Because I mean, the first time I met him, he was like this. And so I do not see any slippage, because I've just, the slippage occurred about 40 years ago.
It's just him. Matt, thanks so much for doing this. We know it's a really busy time. Doomsday Podcast, it's a must listen, and appreciate your expertise on what's really going on with the Cowboys.
All right. Now we're just going to duck our heads and see what's next.
Yeah, it's always
Kenny Clark, baby.
Yeah.
He's arrived.
Poor dude.
Maybe the Rangers, they're going to trade somebody from them. Okay, guys, you'll be good. Beat Auburn. Bye.
There you go.
So Matt, by the way, does radio for Baylor. And
yeah, big game.
By the way, we haven't got to yet. I don't know if we have time. That may or may not be my upset of the week, Maggie.
Oh, yeah, we're going to pick some upsets for college football. I already cashed in on one of mine yesterday.
Oh, that's funny. Like, yeah, what segment was that in the show?
It was a text message to you and EJ yesterday. I was like, I just put a bet on USF.
I was left out.
Sorry, Manny.
No, you're not.
It was just circumstance.
You buy breakfast for us all? Yeah.
I bet $2 and I won $1.80.
Well, what the hell are we going to get for breakfast with that?
Meanwhile, Micah Parsons, guys, that's what's important here. We asked you on Twitter, why do you think Micah Parsons, the biggest reason he's not a Cowboy today? Was it because of football? Was it because of money? Or was it because of ego? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. And how is this going over in the Cowboys locker room? We've got some insight from that next. MMP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's time for the NHTSA Play of the Day. Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. All right. Play of the Day. What do you got, Manny?
Sorsby leans in, takes the snap, backpedals the throw. Blitz picked up. Harris went out deep right sideline. 50-50 ball. It's picked off. The black shirts with the dagger. Malcolm Hartzog with a giant pick sails the night for the Big Red.
Oh, wow. Thank God for Nebraska fans. Courtesy of Huskers Radio Network, Malcolm Hartzog's interception sealed the 20-7 victory over Cincinnati. Maggie in front of future Mr. and Mrs. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and the rest of the Chiefs in a sea of red at Arrowhead. That was very exciting.
Yeah, what I'm interested in from this game, well, this game was interesting for a lot of reasons, but number one, what is this Nebraska offense going to look like as the season progresses? Because they made this big deal about, Dylan Raiola is this 5-star coming out of high school. He looks like Patrick Mahomes. He models his game after Mahomes. And they brought in Dana Holgorsen, the former, head coach, who's kind of been everywhere, Houston, West Virginia, et cetera. They brought him in early, they brought him in last year to kind of get a head start on changing the offense. And I thought the offense still looked a little shaky last night.
I thought the offense looked good. I thought they were terrible in the red zone. I mean, they got down on the 1-yard line and jumped off sides and had 10 men. They had the wrong number of men on the line, too. So there were 2 penalties, got pushed back to the 6 and had to go to a field goal. I thought Raiola looked promising. A lot of chippies, but, when he had time to throw, he was pretty deadly. I think they're okay. They're not a great team. The fact that they could not run away, they were up 13-3 at half, they should have been up 20-3, and they should have run away with this game. You're right. There's something about Nebraska that's just missing.
If you were to pick an upset for this weekend, college football, top to bottom, left and right, what do you have?
So I mentioned in the last segment, I like Baylor 2.5-point underdogs against Auburn. Auburn apparently, not only have they've not really decided their starting quarterback, might play 1, 2, or 3 quarterbacks in this game.
Yeah.
So I think you look at
that's always a great sign.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for early season upsets, I think new quarterbacks is a way to go. So it's not a huge upset. That's the one that jumps out to me, and I really like Sori Robertson, the Baylor quarterback.
I've got 2, but they're small ones. One, I do think Belichick's going to win his coaching debut. There is a lot of pressure on him. They open against TCU. This is going to be Monday. It's kind of like a standalone game.
Yeah.
Monday of Labor Day, 8 o'clock Eastern time. A lot of eyeballs on this game. And North Carolina's home. They're a 3.5-point underdog. to TCU. And then I'll give a little props here to EJ's Miami Hurricanes. It's a 2.5-point spread. They're hosting Notre Dame. I just think if you're talking about quarterbacks, I know Carson Beck, the stock is low, but at least we've known he's going to be the starter for months and months and months, whereas Michigan just named their starter, Notre Dame, just named their starter, CJ Carr, like a week and a half ago.
You know, a lot of experts love Miami right now. A lot of the ESPN talking heads are into Carson Beck. One, I got to admit, I was tempted. You mentioned North Carolina. Hopefully they'll do it for you, do to TCU what Colorado did them. Colorado's 4-point dogs against Georgia Tech. Yeah. Caden Salter's pretty good. The former Liberty quarterback. He can run his way. I'd be tempted to put some money on the Buffaloes. I know Georgia Tech's a bit of a buzz team.
Caden's off the chain.
But Caden Salter is totally different than Shedeur. He can create a lot of yards with his legs. I think they're an interesting team, and Deion gets them fired up early in the season.
Yeah, but Haynes King, I don't know. I think Georgia Tech is going to win this one tonight, and we'll be talking about what's the season going to look like for Deion. But in the meantime, now the Dallas Cowboys, Deion's former team, is taking up all the oxygen because they actually did it. They cried wolf. The wolf arrived. They usually cry wolf on these contract negotiations, but this time they called the bluff and actually traded Micah Parsons away to the Green Bay Packers. Pearl, final word. Does this put the Packers, are they the biggest threat now to your Eagles in the NFC?
Well, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl last year. I picked the Packers-Bengals clash. Did not happen. I think they are.
I think this one was the separator. This is the game changer. Man, what a day. EJ Stewart, fantastic job staying on top of everything that had to do with this Micah Parsons trade. That was dynamite. Manny Rodriguez, thank you. Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan. Guido's coffee drinkers, just everyone. Fantastic. Thank you for your phone calls all week long. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy the football.
Go,